come on, we know we're gonna be here till 9:30.
Yeah, we're good.
Good.
So if you really miss our faces, you can always look this up on YouTube.
Okay.
Meeting called to order. Please salute the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we'll call members, please.
Councilmember Bory?
Here.
Councilmember Rochester? Here. Councilmember Hunter?
Here.
Supervisor Trombley?
Here.
And Councilmember Moore is absent.
Correct. Approval of the minutes of the previous meeting for August 9th, 2022. Welcome. Motion and a second for approval, then we can have discussion.
I'm pretty sure this was all set. I didn't notice anything. I will make a motion to accept the meeting minutes for August 9th, 2022 meeting submitted by the clerk.
I'll second that. Even though I was absent.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Okay, presentations, petitions, communications, and general question period. Gentlemen, could you please introduce yourself, name and address, and address the board?
My name is Edward Carey. I reside in New York City. I'm here to talk about community choice irrigation and community solar.
Okay.
Willie Giroux, Shazy, just up the road in Shazy. And we're involved in this project, as you will hear tonight.
Excellent. Okay. Ready? You're in.
Okay, I'll try to be as brief as possible to give a little background about myself. I've been in the energy business for literally my entire existence. Like, my great-grandfather worked for an energy company, my grandfather, my dad, and I followed in those footsteps. My career has gone from the private sector to the public sector and back and forth. I was one of the lead purchasing agents for the city of New York, purchasing energy, so fuel oil, gas, low sulfur diesel. And then from there, worked for Amron Hess, big gasoline retail for that, and then got involved with a company called Good Energy. And at Good Energy, we have offices. We're in Boston, New York, Peoria, Illinois, and Dallas, Texas. And we're a national company, and we cover very large real estate, to major skyscrapers, to but primary is stuff like probably 15 years ago, 12 years ago, in the state of Illinois, they adopted a new program called Community Choice Irrigation, CCA. And when we got involved in the state of Illinois, about 15% of the state were buying their energy in this type of capacity. And since then, now, about 97% of the state buys their energy in this type of capacity. So that set off a huge national on the saving. I mean, I'm talking literally hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars were saved by doing a CCA. So that put out a big beacon, and the state of New York said, like, we're interested in that. And then we didn't find them. They came to us, and our office we're on 37 Madison. They came to our office. They said, what is this? So we started describing how you can do energy and obviously the state of New York, and how they do a great job on procuring. So they take a municipality goes out and they take their wastewater treatment plant, or maybe they'll combine it with maybe their board of education and stuff like that. Go on Costco theory, you can buy in bulk, get a discount. You can do the same thing now with your residents. And how we do this is we take a township, and funny that I'm here. One of my first CCA New York deals was Shazy. And so they came up, and I got a call from a supervisor, Bill Arthur, and we went up there and we passed local law movement. And Shazy has some of the cheapest power in New York State as of today. They did a deal, I think about 4 years ago, and they're paying about 3 point something for their power. I mean, it's pretty good. So we did that deal, and it's really blossomed throughout the state. And we were doing sort of private, as for Good Energy, but the New York Conference of Mayors NICOM and AOT came together and they created something called NIMA. And there's 3 administrators in the state that actually, we're allowed to do this. And we're one, we're obviously the largest, so we represent all of AOT and all of NICOM. So we represent about over 1,000 municipalities throughout the state, so we're qualified. And how a CCA works is basically your residents, it's an opt-out program, not an opt-in program. So we have to come up here, we'll come up here, you have to pass a local law, we take the local law and we then give it to the utility. The utility sends us the load data, we shape it and see how we can strike a deal, basically. We're nice at your utility is, you're on a floating index, so obviously the market has screamed up during the pandemic and the Russia and everything else, so we're paying some outrageous price right now. You know, we're gonna go to different generation sources and try to obviously get you, we have to by law, get you a lower price. We can't give you a higher than the utility, it's gotta match it or below. So that's where we have to go. With that, with the blossoming of CCAs throughout the state, we've also been growing the whole ESG, which is, you know, environmental sustainability governing. So green has become very, very, very popular throughout the state, especially for municipalities. I mean, you are the leaders of the community. They want to see how you're doing towards the environment. And this is a great way to get community solar. So we're now partnering with the Giroux Poultry Company. They obviously have a considerable amount of land up here. And they want to move forward by building a community solar project for Shazy, and they want to do a separate one for the town of Champlain. So once we build these solar farms, obviously they're going to be, you know, to create a megawatt of power, as I was telling the supervisor, you need 5 acres. So we're looking to get about 25 megawatts of power, and then the off-taker would be your residents. New York State is giving so many different incentive dollars to do this, and then obviously what was just passed, the Inflation Reduction Act was just signed. The federal government is really unbelievably promoting this to go green. And it's United States is, you know, we have an abundance of natural gas and fuel, and we're very, but you know, it's coming slowly. I mean, you saw what's going on in Europe right now. Germany went too quickly on this, so now they're in a lot of trouble. And England is like, you know, because of Brexit and whatever going on there, they're in trouble. Like, I don't think we would ever get to that level, but you know, a lot of our energy resources are going to be diverted over there to help them out. So we you know, we're anticipating that the price of energy is going to keep on escalating here. How we reduce that? You got to bring on more generations, and you know, building a nuclear power plant, forget it. You wouldn't be. I think there's 130 something there now, but the permitting to get those done is just not going to happen. You know, we're not going back to coal, so green is going to be our, so if it's hydro, solar, wind, whatever it might be. But with the solar plant here, Champlain would be the off-taker. They would be consuming that generation source, that the energy that comes out of there. New York City, what I was just saying, is the incentive is that they're guaranteeing a savings. Right now it's between, they're saying 10%, maybe it goes reduces down to 5%, but it's you know, the laws do change from time to time, but there's guaranteed savings here. So, and it acts just like a CCA, where we would have to come up here and you know, we would advertise in your newspapers, go on cable TV and advertise. Every single resident will receive in the mail, describing the little pamphlet that I actually handed to you. They will receive a pamphlet like that describing the program and saying if we're going to go forward. To go forward is, again, it's an opt-out program, not an opt-in program. And so we advertise, we do all the outreach for 60 days, and then there's a 30-day grace period. And then in that 30-day grace period, it says, if you do not notify us, you're in this program after the 30 days. So, and the whole thing is, once you're in the program, I do not have a contract with anyone. I don't have a contract with the individual residents. So at any time and point in time, they want out, they are out. But the whole thing is, with the guarantee is, why would you leave a program when you're saving money? That wouldn't make sense. You want to go pay higher bills? That's your right. You can go do that. And that's pretty much sort of
even post the 30-day period, you can still opt out of it.
You can still opt out, yeah. We tell her, like, you know, this is coming, this is coming, this is coming after the 30. If you don't tell us, And opting out is like, it's very simple. We will be putting an 800, we have a call center, one in Dallas, Texas, one in New York, and they are fully trained on answering, we have about 50 of the most common questions, is saying, you know, I don't want to be part of this, or maybe they don't like government, or I don't know, people just don't want to participate. They're out. Again, like, you know, I emphasize, I do not have a contract with these people, so I can't enforce anything. If they don't want to do it, they're out. But we will be putting on your municipal site, there will be an 800 number, you know, there will be an email system, you know, that it will be out there, like saying, you know, if you don't want to be part of this, you don't have to be. But the way the law is written, it's written as an opt-out, not an opt-in.
Okay.
So,
What's your timeline? What are you hoping for?
well, we like to get everything sort of up and running. It would probably be get steel in the ground. We're probably looking at 18 months, maybe 24 months before this would go forward. We're just going out and, you know, so far we have a commitment from Shazy saying they're very interested in going forward with this. And you know, we would come back, there would be several times we would have to come here, give you a proposal, see if this works or not, and hopefully there'll be a commitment from Champlain to move forward as well.
Okay. Would the next step be a written proposal?
The first step would be you would have to pass a local law, and then we have to get all the load data from the utility. Then from there, we would write the proposal back to you saying, you know, does this work, does it not work? We feel very comfortable it will work. And again, you know, regarding our services, you know, we're free to you. And all the outreach and everything that, we pay for all of that.
Okay.
Not a dime comes out of the town hall. We pay for it. The only thing you might have to pay for is, you know, there might be a couple of documents here and there that the municipal attorney would have to review, obviously. And that's pretty much it. And we are a turnkey operation. We do all of the work. And a lot of like the solar, solar is like, it's like your cell phone. I mean, you buy the iPhone 13, the 14 comes out. And like solar is like, it used to be with the community solar is like, they used to do a FICA score, they used to do it, you had to qualify, it was an opt-in program. That's all changed. Like now it's like, if you're part of the community, you're allowed in. There's no credit scores, there's none of that. You're automatically in.
So from my perspective, just so you have an idea of why I'm here and you know, how we feel about it as a family. I mean, Julie knows us. I'll give you the 15-second snapshot on us. There's myself and my brother Craig. Julie takes great care of us when we have questions. We thank you for that. And so we're Craig and I are third generation. Our grandfather started the egg farm and dairy in the 20s. So we're 100 years old. And I will proudly say we have 5 back from the next generation, so we're now officially 4th generation, and to have 5 back is outstanding, a true blessing. So for Craig and I, you know, we've looked at solar, you know, many times over the years, and it just didn't seem to be the right fit for us, the right timing, many reasons. And I don't know if you know or not, I'm on the town council in Shazy, so I've met Ed, and I guess that's how we initially got the ball rolling. And their team is very strong, been very impressed. For Craig and I, we believe in relationships. At the end of the day, it's about people, and we're very happy with Ed and their team. It's impressive. They're really on top of this. So, you know, we constantly think about the fact of, you know, sustainability, being green. What can we do to, you know, to be better farmers, to be better neighbors, and you know, so again, I will humbly say we try and stay very involved in the community, and so this is just, in our opinion, at this point, from everything we can see, this is just good for a lot of reasons. I mean, to bring, you know, a 10% savings to everyone in the town and village it's real money. When you add up those numbers, it's real money. You know, maybe I'm an individual homeowner, you know, but it adds up and it's real. And it's not just it's on both parts. I mean, I don't know how all of you are currently set up, but you know, there's a nice like portion and the supply portion. Maybe you're on both, or you're doing both with NICEAG, but it's not just the NICEAG portion, it's on everything. So it's a 10% savings on your
Across
entire
the
bill,
board?
Yeah,
on your entire bill.
Okay, both supply and
Correct.
delivery,
Correct, exactly.
okay?
So, you know, we're, you know, our location, do we want me to touch on that? I mean,
Yes, please.
you know,
Then
we
we'll
are,
be asking that.
we are very sensitive to where something like this would go. And the location we picked is on the Clark Road. And it's near the railroad tracks, it's a 50-acre parcel, and it would be on the back side of it. I mean, it would barely be visible barely be visible. And our location, you know, both here in Champlain and in Chazy is very important to us. We want to be seen and not heard, or heard, and whatever the right saying would be. We want to, so we're very happy with both choices that we're looking at. The one in Chazy is equally as,
Discreet.
however you want to say it, private, hidden.
Kind of discreet,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. I mean, solar's a good thing, but, you know, again, for Craig and I, we really like the idea of, you know, putting it in the right spot.
yeah, and this would definitely would create jobs for the community also.
That's always a bonus.
During the construction phase, you mean, excuse me?
Yeah.
You know, and the rest of the story for us is, you know, it's you know, it's sustainability. It's again, being green. I'll repeat that. I mean, from how we do tillage, you know, we've changed that. We're looking at everything and anything. Not that we haven't been. I mean, we're at the point where the egg farm is basically zero waste, and that didn't happen in the last 2 years. That takes years and years to get to the point where, you know, you can figure everything out, because it doesn't just happen, as I just said, overnight. So we just, we're excited about the project in Chazy. We're equally excited about the project here. I mean, you know, we're in the neighborhood. I mean, you know, we have trucks on the road that go up and down here. We farm in the area, and, you know, whatever we can do to support, we want to try and do that.
Willie, could I add something? I know I asked you prior to the meeting if you reviewed the draft law or not. Do you know if this land that you've chosen is considered prime agriculture by agricultural markets? The state?
What the rating would be on that dirt, that ground, I'm not sure. We'll have to look into that.
Yeah, that'll be a consideration, because under the draft law, any prime farmland, you can only take up 50% of that acreage.
Okay,
So in some cases, it means, you know, I've got one project on the Mason Road. There's 10 acres of the plot that they want to develop. That 10 acres will only be able to have 5 acres usable. And then the other land that is not considered prime is open to complete acreage.
and to your point, you know, we've looked at a lot of different pieces, as Ed knows,
Yeah.
and it gives us indigestion, real indigestion, taking, you know, beautiful dirt that you can grow fantastic crops on and do this. So I get that, we get that.
Okay.
But it's 50% of the total acreage.
If it's prime, and it does not include prime if well drained, it doesn't count. It has to be labeled as prime by
Okay.
Agamark.
Sure.
So I just wanted to point that out,
No,
just
I'm
in
glad to
case
know
that,
that.
you know.
Yeah, once we, I have not reviewed it, but I will get my hands on it, and that will be part of the proposal.
Yeah,
Yeah, would that be included?
posted on our website right
Yeah.
now. Once the law is passed, we'll be posting the finished product as well, right? Julie?
Yeah, again, yeah, as you know, passing the local law, it doesn't give me authority to do anything. It just gives me authority to give you a proposal. Because it's just like sort of chicken and the egg type thing. It's sort of like, you know, I have to, I've never, I guess you never heard that joke. You know, I have to get, we report everything to the Public Service Commission. They require us to get all this paperwork done. And then, you know, then we have to review stuff, get the loading and everything else. And everything we do is passed by we use the law firm Harris Beach. So they're our law firm. And like the chairman of the of the energy department there is Bill Flynn. I don't know if you ever heard of him. Bill was chairman of NYSERDA, and he was also chairman of the New York Power Authority. So he is very, very, very in touch on how the state of New York is run, on especially regarding energy. So and he's a nice guy too. So.
And the council members have any questions for him?
Food for thought, though.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, if you type in CCA, Google it and stuff like that, I mean, it's just a plethora of information pops up, and it's pretty basic. It's just sort of like, you know, I don't care, whatever you buy, whatever commodity, you know, the more you buy, the cheaper price you're gonna get. You know, our savings are, I sort of, you know, each home is traditionally is usually between 1,000 and 3,000 square feet. And we think we can get a savings around maybe 100 to 150 per household on the CCA portion of that. Collectively, as you know, as individually, no, it's not a lot of money. But you know, as a whole, as a township, it does exactly what Willie's saying. The numbers come pretty big. Plus, you get the 10% off of that regarding the solar portion as well. So it's there's two benefits there. And also, as you know, the utility is on an index rate, which goes up and down every single month. This would be a fixed rate, so you would know exactly how to budget. And that's exactly what Shazy did. And you know, they did this deal in you know, early 2020 during the pandemic, where you know, people's purses were getting pretty tight, and oil went down to like a negative number, and we scored a deal with that, and they are printing money there right now on the savings they have. Unfortunately, it's going to expire, but it's they did very, very well on the program, and this is fully supported by NYSERDA and the Power Authority and everything else.
So we can understand this correctly, this local law you're referring to that's required in order to get the proposal, is that a requirement for NYSEG to provide all the data to you?
Correct.
Okay.
I just can't say, hey, can I, you know, look at your power bill? It's you know, it's against the law. Like, yeah, so once we get the local law saying, okay, now we're in Champlain, we have permission to do this by the board and obviously with your leadership supervisor, and we give it to you. They send us the load information. Again, I'm not getting people's names or any of that. I don't get that information. They just give me the load, and every single municipality has a different thumbprint of, like, you know, how they use energy. So we just have to know that on how we could form a price on it or something like that.
Right, the number that would be provided would be the total KW.
Correct, yeah. Well, it would be the KW and the KWH.
Right.
So it'd be the demand portion and the usage is which we're interested in.
Okay, so what, do you provide this to us?
The local, just when you give me a business card, it's in your inbox right now.
Okay. Okay, so I guess, we'll have to.
Those are just templates that we send around to all the different
Yeah.
communities. Okay, so obviously you could form it any way you want. So your attorney would have to review those documents and.
Right, in Shazy, we went through this process with our board and we, you know, we passed the resolution. It was just to allow these folks to continue the research to look into it. I guess is the best way to explain that.
I've seen a reason
I have no questions.
why not move forward with it.
Right.
Until we get the proposal, we can't make any decisions.
Exactly. So let's look at the data.
Yeah, so I'll move on that and we'll get it prepared for the next meeting.
Okay, I appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you for your time.
Thank you
Supervisor.
very
Good seeing you.
Same here.
Thank you. And,
Thank you very much.
Really, 9:30, you're here until 9:30?
Some nights.
yeah, probably tonight.
It's all right.
Probably tonight too, Rick.
Sorry for
I'm
the,
attending NICOM in Saratoga, so go back there tomorrow.
Well, that's a pretty area.
And nice meeting you.
Thank you for stopping.
Really good seeing you again.
Thanks very
Thank you.
much.
Okay.
So are we gonna go in order, or are we gonna handle Monica's questions first?
Yeah,
or how are we
that's
gonna-
that's exactly what I'm looking at.
Yeah,
Um, I think in order to not have you sit here till 9 o'clock, Monica, I wish you could see us. I am going to jump ahead to new business for this item.
Perfect.
And then we'll come back and we'll start over and pick up from my report. So that would mean we are going to jump to new business, number 5, part 2 of the SECRA. On local law number 2 of 2022, so I've got to catch up on my paperwork here.
That's,
Now, Julie, today was a really crazy day for everybody, just so I can bring you all up to speed. Getting prepared for this meeting was atrocious. There's a lot happening. I'll try to tell you as much as I can. Julie, the part 1, where were we at with the part 1? Because I wanted to ask that question, and I never got it to your office. Or Monica, do you know? The part 1 was
Sorry,
pretty, part one of the seeker was completed, correct?
Yes, yep,
Okay, that's what I wanted to confirm.
yes. So you were working on,
so
when
we're
you
going to
declared
this.
lead agency, part 1 was done.
Excellent. Yep,
And now
now we're
your
back,
act tonight would be the determination of significance, which would be the part 2, essentially part 3, and the resolution, just declaring, your findings, which I assume this is a negative,
whoops. What did I
no environmental, no
Just the,
significant
yeah,
environmental
click down
impacts.
below.
I
to
assume
your
is
left.
what
Just
you're
click there, I
finding,
think,
but
there
that's
you
the
go.
action that's before you, yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna complete this one step at a time. You're gonna walk us through it?
So are we going through the part 2 first, or are we, that's what I'm asking.
Yes, so
Yes.
if you want to walk, we can walk through each of the part 2,
Or do you wanna repeat on
we
the
can ask
part
you,
1?
what we could do is go over each question in the part 2. And then you just determine, sorry, I just have to pull mine up here while I'm zooming.
Well, Rick, I don't have a copy of part 1 in front of me, unfortunately, because like I said, I never made it to your
So
office.
part 1 is just the
Part one's
background
done.
of the project.
Right, and
It's
it's
no
con-
determinations of anything, it's just stating what the project is, where it's located.
And if I remember correctly, when I reviewed that, it was completely filled out. It was ready to go, is that correct?
Yeah, part 1's
Correct,
done.
yep,
Okay, so then I'm on the same page. What we need to do is go through part 2.
Correct.
When I was looking at this, like, when we got to, I'm gonna let you drive here in a minute, but when I reviewed it, example number 1, impact on land was checked no.
Correct.
Does that mean we can jump over to step 2 now, correct? That's how I read it?
yeah, so the way part 2 works is if you aren't sure, you can go through all the ones underneath and just kind of work through them to see if maybe there are significant impacts. And then you might still check no. If you're confident on the no, then you just check it and then move to number 2, and then you go through them.
And the only 2 that, if I'm correct, are just number 4 and number 6 that were not selected no or yes.
Correct, you're right. So those we're gonna have to go
So if we're
through,
gonna go through it, what I would recommend is I can read the impact,
okay?
and then you can collectively decide, and what you're deciding is that it's either no or small impact or moderate to large. Those are your options. Now, keep in mind, the action here is just adopting these zoning amendments. It's not project specific. Any project will require its own seeker.
Correct.
So the action before you is strictly adopting zoning amendments. So you just have to wire your brain towards that and not be thinking about, well, what if a project comes along? Because every individual project is gonna require its own seeker.
And each one will be different. Or maybe
So-
different.
It's really just the action here is simply the zoning amendments themselves. So if you want, I can go through each of these and then you guys can vote.
Okay,
Monica, do we need a motion for the town to be the lead agency?
We did
I
that.
believe you did that, you should have done that in your first resolution
We did that
We did
In
that.
in July, didn't you?
back in September.
Yeah, last month.
Okay.
Did that happen?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
I remember it happening. Should be the minutes. You remember it as well, right, Rick?
I was not here for
Oh, you-
August, so that's why I thought it was July, but
I think it was July.
I thought it was
You're right,
July.
It is July.
And I think we
You
did.
were here.
I believe I was for that.
I'm sure it got done. We did a resolution for it.
That last month.
You good with that, Julie?
Yeah, it's right here.
You got it?
It was, August,
Oh, I know.
yeah, resolution 19,
Okay.
meeting to take. Okay.
I thought this was wrong. It's been here in spirit there.
Yeah.
Okay, whenever you're ready, Monica. I think we're all set.
All right, so I'm gonna go through these and then you guys can vote. And so number one, impact on land. The proposed action may involve construction on or physical alteration of the land surface of the proposed site.
The answer's no.
Yeah, the answer's no.
Yeah, this isn't, because this is not a construction. So keep in mind, seeker covers everything from construction to planning to zoning amendments. So, you know, most of seeker is geared towards construction projects, or, you know, activities involving actual land use. So a lot of these may seem not really relevant, but you don't say not applicable, you just say no, you know,
Okay.
that even though some of them may feel not applicable.
Correct.
Okay, so we're going with no for the first one?
Yes.
Okay, next one. Impact on geological features. The proposed action may result in the modification or destruction of or inhibit access to any unique or unusual landforms on the site. For example, cliffs, dunes, minerals, fossils, and caves.
I vote no. Should we vote on each one of these, or are we good with?
No, you don't have to.
Can we vote on them all the same?
Alternatively, I
Yeah.
could read them all and then you could vote as one if you feel like all would be a no or small impact.
No, I think we should
Or-
just all agree as we go, and at the end, we'll vote on the final results.
Okay. All right, so number 3 is impacts on surface water. The proposed action may affect one or more wetlands or other surface water bodies, for example, streams, rivers, ponds, or lakes.
No?
And if you need any clarification, I can give you examples of the questions that would be below these, so. So again, the proposed action may affect one or more wetlands or other surface water bodies, for example, streams, rivers, ponds, or lakes.
No. As long as you keep your head wrapped around what we're doing, it's a no.
That's correct. Since you aren't actually allowed to put the solar in those. Impact on groundwater. The proposed action may result in new or additional use of groundwater or may have the potential to introduce contaminants to groundwater or an aquifer.
Hmm.
Okay, number 5, impacts on impacts on flooding.
Flooding.
The proposed action may result in development on lands subject to flooding.
No, so we never actually checked off on 4.
So my question is, that, like on number 4 on the impact on the groundwater, so if it's not yes, is it considered not moderate? Why is there not one of these that's selected, I guess is my question.
Well, it just, you're actually supposed to be doing this tonight. You weren't supposed to select these in advance.
Okay.
You're actually doing the action right now. So
All
I
right.
don't know, so the fact that they weren't collected is irrelevant, because you're doing the action right now.
Okay.
So I think,
This whole process is really tonight. It wasn't an advance activity.
Okay.
So,
So just no.
So I would
think-
say
I think
you
4
just
should be
pick
no.
whichever
I
one
would
you want to
agree.
pick tonight.
I
I would
think
agree.
The
4,
groundwater one, if it's no, I don't know why it didn't click.
Okay.
You know, yeah.
it's no.
If it's not because anybody thought there was anything.
Right.
Okay, impact on flooding, we just discussed.
That's a no.
Impact on air. The proposed action may include a state-regulated air emission source. I think safely say that's a no.
That's a no as well.
Impacts on plants and animals. The proposed action may result in a loss of flora or fauna. And of
No.
course, when you're looking at any of these projects, to keep in mind that the way this was drafted, we do have language in there asking the solar applicants to maintain, flora, fauna underneath the panels and all of that, avoid imperviousness. So I think the new law is a good best model for that type of thing. But obviously there will be some, should there be, and you're gonna evaluate each of these on an individual basis.
Correct.
Impacts on agricultural resources. This is another one we made sure we addressed. The proposed action may impact agricultural resources. Again, each project you're gonna evaluate, the law itself does address agriculture, but these are, these will be things you're going to look at.
Yep. So that's a no as well.
Okay, impact on aesthetic resources. The land use of the proposed action are obviously different from or in sharp contrast to current land use patterns between the proposed project and scenic or aesthetic resource.
That's a no.
Okay.
Impact on historic and archaeological resources. The proposed action may occur in or adjacent to a historic or archaeological resource. Which you don't know where they're sited yet.
Correct.
Impact on open space and recreation. The proposed action may result in a loss of recreational opportunities or reduction of an open space resource as designated in any adopted municipal open space plan.
A no.
Impact on critical environmental areas. This will definitely be a no because you don't actually have any critical environmental areas in the town of Champlain, but it's the proposed action may be located within or adjacent to a critical environmental area. But there are no DEC designated CEAs in Champlain, so I know that's definitely a no. And then impact on transportation. The proposed action may result in a change to existing transportation systems.
That's a no.
14, the proposed action may cause an increase in the use of any form of energy.
No.
Impact on noise, odor, and light. The proposed action may result in an increase in noise, odors, or outdoor lighting. Number 16, impact on human health. The proposed action may have an impact on human health from exposure to new or existing sources of contaminants.
No.
Consistency with community plans. The proposed action is not consistent with adopted land use plans.
No.
18, consistency with community character. The proposed project is inconsistent with the existing community character.
No.
That is the last one. And I did provide to you a draft narrative for the determination of significance that I would recommend. I don't know, Tom, if you have that there, but
I do.
in doing speaker, that determination of significance would go with your, as just a narrative backup to why you're saying no or yes to these items. In anticipation of the no, I did draft something for your consideration, but that's something that I would include with your determination, depending upon what it is whatever that determination is. You should just, it's helpful to have a little narrative background, which, if the no's all stick, then I would say that could be used to back up the decision.
Yes,
And
this
it's
gets
just
included
kept
in
in
the
your
secret.
files.
Okay. Okay.
So at this point, if you want to do the formal
Motion.
negative declaration, it would be that resolution.
Number 20.
Okay. So resolution number 20, it's State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, adopting negative declaration in relation to local law number 2 of 2022. Whereas the Champlain Town Board of Trustees has introduced local law number 2 of the year 2022, Town of Champlain zoning law amendments of 2022. And whereas this project is type 1 action within the meaning of the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA. And whereas based on its consideration of the proposed project, its review of the environmental assessment form, and all other supporting information submitted in connection with the proposed project, and the criteria set forth in 6 NYCRR section 617.7, the Town of Champlain Board of Trustees, as lead agency, has identified and analyzed the relevant areas of environmental concern to determine whether the proposed action may have a significant adverse impact on the environment. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of Trustees hereby finds and determines that the proposed project will not have any significant adverse impacts on the environment, and therefore issues a negative declaration of environmental significance pursuant to SECRA for the reasons set forth in the attached determination of significance and parts 2 and 3 of the EAF, all of which is incorporated herein by reference, and a reading of all of which are waived. All in favor of said resolution? Aye?
Aye.
Okay. Resolution passed. Julia,
Okay,
probably
so then
give
just
you
for the process for that, what we'll do is, Tom, you will sign part 3,
okay,
and we will attach that determination of significance that I included. We'll take the draft off of that, you'll include that, and that will all be filed for the town clerk. And then I will send to DEC the notice of your action, which is required for any type 1 action. And I will file that and copy you. What it is you're filing a notice to the environmental bulletin, which gets posted. And so you have to do that within 30 days of an action. So I'll get that filed and I'll copy you on it so you can see that that took place, and you'll have a copy of it for your records. And that will complete seeker.
I will signature of preparer. Am I okay to sign that as well?
Yes, yep.
Julie, I noticed a typo in resolution 20, so I'll probably give you a fresh one tomorrow.
Okay.
Is that all right? Okay. So we want to, can we move forward to resolution 21, the adoption of the local law?
Yep. If you're asking me.
I know this. I'm just looking. And I don't-
Should be the next one.
It should be right after the
Yeah.
2-page.
I should be, but I don't know.
It should be right after the part 3.
Unless I picked it up with that swing, but I don't think I did.
Here, just pass it by. You can read it and then just pass it back.
Nope, picked it up. I got it.
Got it?
Okay, we're stuck together. Okay, resolution number 21, adoption of local law number 2 of 2022, entitled Zoning Law Amendments of 2022 to amend the town zoning law, chapter 130 of the Code of the Town of Champlain. Whereas the Town of Champlain Town Board, identified the need to update the town zoning law to incorporate land use and development standards for solar energy systems and retail cannabis, as such uses are not presently addressed in the town zoning law. And whereas the town board recognized the need to clarify the role of the planning board as it relates to site plan review. And whereas amendments to chapter 130, zoning addressing solar energy systems, retail cannabis, and the site plan review process have been prepared with the assistance of planning consultant River Street Planning and Development. And whereas the town board had previously initiated the adoption process per section 272-A of town law and introduced local law number 2 on August 9th, 2022. And now, therefore be it resolved, the town board of the town of Champlain does hereby approve and adopt local law number 2 of 2022. All in favor of said resolution?
Aye.
Aye.
Should we have a motion in a second?
Everybody ready? We didn't do it in the last one.
I think we got an aye from everybody, but
We got
we
an aye.
need a first and
I
second.
need a first and second. I'm
I was
sorry.
gonna say that, and I thought,
Sorry.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 20.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And now 21.
Resolution approved. Sorry about that. Now resolution 21.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 21, as read by the supervisor.
And a second?
I'll second it. Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed? Resolution carries.
Okay, moving right along.
Moving right along. Okay, Monica, we might just as well go right to new business number 7. It's resolution 21,
We just did that
no,
one.
excuse me,
22.
22, excuse me, number 8. Better check off 7 first. To end the moratorium on solar. Okay. So resolution 22, to terminate the temporary town-wide moratorium on the installation of freestanding or ground-mounted solar energy systems, initiated under local law number 1 of the year 2022. Whereas the town of Champlain the town board identified the need to implement a moratorium on the installation of freestanding or ground-mounted solar energy systems, and whereas the town board updated the town zoning law to incorporate land use and development standards for solar energy systems, and whereas the amendments to chapter 130 of town zoning addressing solar energy systems have been adopted under local law number 2, and whereas the town board adopted local law number 2 on September 13th, 2022, and duly filed the law with the state of New York thereafter, and whereas the termination of the moratorium will be effective as of September 23rd, 2022, and therefore be it further resolved, the town board of the town of Champlain does hereby terminate the moratorium on solar energy systems under local law number 1 of 2022. Motion to approve resolution 22,
Make
please.
a motion that we approve resolution number 22 as printed.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries, thank you. So I think that concludes it all.
No,
No.
No, we have
Good job, everybody.
rehabilitation of commercial property.
no, that's nothing.
That's different, right?
Yeah.
sounds like you have plenty of solar coming your way, so.
Yes, that's one of 2, let's see, now there's 3 projects that are
Yeah. Wow,
in the sidelines.
yeah.
So this was good timing. I'm glad we addressed it as fast as we did. It was certainly necessary. And it's gonna make it easier for both parties now.
Yes, for sure. All right, so I'll get the seeker filed, and then if there's, if you have any questions, obviously, you'll do your filing with the Secretary of State, just to make sure you close the books on that, and, you should be
So,
good to go.
do you need part 3, the one that I signed, sent to you?
No, you keep all of that, as long, just make sure that it's all filed together in, with the actions tonight. You keep all of that in the town clerk's office. The state doesn't actually want the documents, they just want to know that you did it.
And that's what you're
So-
filing, is just the notification that it was completed? Okay.
Yeah, there's a form that I will fill out, and I submit that to DEC.
Okay,
And then it's on record, and it's just important that I will send you that determination of significance. I think I had the draft on there. I'll just take that off, but, you know, all of those, part 1, 2, and 3, plus, with copies of the resolutions, showing that you did the proper secret steps, and then the determination of significance as the attachment to part 3,
Right, which
would
I'll let
all
you
just
send.
be kept together.
Okay. Okay, we have that.
Deal set with that. All right then, I will let you carry on with the rest of your meeting, and thank you for jumping ahead on this.
Yeah, there was no need to have you, have to go get a couple of cups of coffee to stay awake and all that good stuff.
Thank
Well,
you,
especially
Roger.
when I'm not looking at anybody, it's just Tom showing me.
I apologize for that. Sarah set this up
That's
for me
okay.
and she couldn't be here and I can't figure out how to get it going. It keeps saying it's not powered. I don't understand. I plugged it in, but it didn't work.
Well, we're ready for next time.
But
Yeah,
all right,
it's
all right,
another learning curve for me, Monica.
well, enjoy the rest of your meeting, and Tom, just give me a call if anything comes up, but I'll send you some, an email with the DEC stuff this week.
Excellent. Thank you, Monica, very much.
You're welcome. Have a good night all.
You
Good
too.
night.
Good night, you too, thank you.
Who's here talking?
Is that the clip?
Is that in the court, or where is
We're
that?
down the hall.
Yeah, Kevin was still here when I got here, so I'm assuming you're still down there.
It must be.
Okay, so we'll pick up where we left off. We
So
got
come back to the beginning now?
Yeah, but we got rid of a good chunk of business, so.
All right, good.
We're so close to resolution 23, whatever the hell that is.
I don't remember even, I have to go back and look.
That's that one we might not pass, that's redrilled.
That's a rehabilitation.
Oh, we pulled that off. No, that's off. I'll explain.
So that's gone?
Okay, so I'll explain that now. So
Okay.
there is a
Piece of property.
hiccup on that property in regards to the application for Restore New York, okay?
Oh, what you're
Grant.
trying for.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that's what that resolution was for. We're still going to set a public hearing for this subject. I am still in negotiations with the owner. They are trying to figure out how to fund it, because this is a full reimbursement grant, which means they're gonna have to pay for this project before they can get the money from the state.
Oh.
I know, so the state puts an awful burden on
On the property owner.
the property owner.
They do.
You know, they want the state to
Is
refurbish
that
and
the
grow,
old,
but yet they don't.
Packing plant?
You know,
Yeah.
so I questioned through ESD whether it could be granted in stages, hoping that, you know, while we did a down payment to get started, to get reimbursed, and then we got 50% through, can we get reimbursed, and it has to be complete. So it may impact it. They are currently looking, the owner is currently looking at whether or not it would be worth borrowing funds, you know.
To make it
not.
happen.
I tried to convince him, I think it's worth going through the full application to find out if it's approved. Once approved, you can still make a decision, I can't do this, and reject, you know, turn it
Right.
down.
You're not committed.
You're not committed, you're not committed till you sign the document that, yes, I accept this grant, and I will move forward and complete the work. So that's where I'm at, I'm trying to convince him, I think it's worth moving forward. Once you have the document in hand that you have been approved for this funding, I think that gives you the collateral to,
Yeah, you might be able
Possibly
to borrow
borrow.
against it, yeah.
but it may fall through the cracks,
Oh, it's such an eyesore.
you know? Yeah, it needs, yeah, it's 18.5 acres that I'm really hoping to develop, so. I'm not sure where it's gonna go, so that's why that resolution, which I was prepared to do tonight, is put on hold until the public
Gotcha.
hearing.
Okay.
So once we schedule a public hearing in 2 weeks, and they have their ducks in a row, and they go, you know what, we'll move forward, we'll do the resolution on the same night. The application will then be set to go in for the deadline.
Now, I know we sat through this, Tom, and we kind of were provided the information. Once it's approved, I mean, the chances of the grant actually
you know, giving those funds back to the property owner are pretty certain.
Yes,
So it's just a case of having them complete the application, and then let's wait and see where, you know, so
That's
hopefully they're willing to take that time to do that.
yeah.
Do you know how long after the actual process is completed, how long before that grant is given, the money is given back to the property owner?
I'm told by Paul at AES, it's typically 30 to 60 days, but he has seen it go 90.
Yes, okay.
Okay, so, you know, that's what I tried to explain to him, I think you would have to look for a short-term loan,
Right.
you know, of 3 or 4 months, and, I don't know, we'll see. It's easy for me to say, I'm not the one that's gonna be,
With your neck out there,
yeah,
yeah.
Right, okay.
so it's their decision. So anyways, that's what that's about, so let's back up and pick up where we left off. And, I guess it's my report, and as you can see, I normally had this all typed out, and I could not get to it today because the phone wouldn't stop ringing.
Okay.
So, there will be a marketing update, I'm sure, by Councilman Bory. I was lucky to be invited to a brief, I don't know what I call that. Screening, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. And, I'm pretty excited about it in regards to the videos that's been prepared from all this summer's work that Jason worked on. So I'm anxious to hear his report on that to you guys. The Putin Challenge is now complete, and we
Who's
had,
winner?
well, it was 5 minutes.
I'm just curious, who makes the best poutine?
So nowhere to go now.
Well, I gotta be careful on how I do that.
Oh,
Because it wasn't intended to be a rating, although a lot of the people did provide feedback, but there was only 5 that completed it, including myself as one of them. So we ordered the t-shirts, and the certificates are gonna be completed this week. I think Janet is working on them, Mayor McFetrich. And I think overall, though, it was a real good experience, especially for the contestants. You know, they all came in with their feedback, and they, you know, especially the one gentleman did it all in one day.
Oh my God.
But anyways, it all went well.
That's a lot of
maybe next year we can do chili.
I know,
I won't be sitting down with whoever's competing.
that's kind of one of the things that, you know, I
Or participate.
envision as we get Bob Van Park more developed and involved is, you know, stuff like a chili fest, something like that.
Apple pie.
So no, the Putin Challenge, we intend to do annually, so we'll try to grow it next year, maybe try to get more restaurants involved. The soccer clinic that was done on August 10th, they had 100 kids attend,
Okay.
so it was very successful. And I just want to thank all those that were there organizing and running that event. Leadership meeting, I had one last week with the mayors, and the topics were: 1, marketing. I actually gave them a sneak preview of what this is about, so they have an idea of what they're going to be possibly funding. We don't have an exact amount, but I have a good idea. We need the total bill from Paul Fredericks first before I can go to them and get an exact amount, but they're very excited about what we've done, let's put it that way. We also talked about shared services in regards to water and wastewater. As you know, in the village of Champlain, Woody Kissel is retiring as of October 7th, I believe. They have been screening for candidates. You know, they advertised the position, and they are not getting qualified people. In other words, nobody is licensed. There may be some qualified well enough to hopefully be hired and trained over time. So we're looking at a shared service with Rouse's Point. It's in the beginning stages. We're going to be meeting, I believe it's next week, to try to work out more details, but I'm hoping to get a coverage here in the town as well, especially in regards to emergency situations. Possibly testing on the weekends, whatever the need might be, but we're gonna try to roll this into a whole shared service program. And maybe it'll carry us further, because between you and I think the water takes too much away from our code officer, and we're struggling to keep up. But anyways, I think it'll be great if we can work something out, and the village desperately needs it, because they're not gonna have anybody for wastewater as of October. We also talked about the EMS contract for this year. I meant to get that included in your documents that have been provided to us. We are looking at a 58% increase here in the town. The village of Rouse's Point is a 42 dot something. It's under 43% increase. So it's going to be a lot heftier burden than we expected, because and John LaBelle, remember correctly, we were thinking it was around 40 at max, but it ended up higher. So we had
So they had the breakdown they provided to you? Everything's broken down?
Yeah, but again, we just got that, and it's still with Sarah, so I'll have to get that out to you all. I'll have to scan it and send it to you for
If I
review.
remember last year, I thought the increase was like between 30 and 40%.
Right, it was.
So this is almost like a 90% increase in 2 years.
In 2 years.
That's
I can tell you,
surprising,
I can tell you what it's about, is they added 2 more technicians and
Okay.
1 more, I believe it's a level 1 at EMT. And, you know, that's the reason for it, of course.
Salaries and.
Salaries and training.
Mhm.
I know Rouse's Point is trying to look into alternatives of anything else they can do, because it's a large increase for them. So we'll have to have more discussion on that. I apologize, but I'm telling you, the last 2 days, it's been nuts.
You need to clone yourself somehow.
I know. I know it's bad when Sarah comes in, sits down, and goes, what can I do to help?
She doesn't even help though, my gosh, she's a gem.
Yeah, so this is kind of an unusual report. I usually get to just read it off. We want to remind everybody, we still have COVID tests available. There are still people picking them up. And we also still have mosquito dunks if anybody needs them for standing water in their yards or property. They're available here at the office. We had a presentation at Bob Van Park for the Dewey Cemetery. That was last weekend. It was on Saturday, if I remember right. I should have wrote the date down. And I want to thank Calvin for helping organize it and recording it and posting it on YouTube for us. I appreciate it. It was a nice little celebration. We intend to expand upon it next year and do it every year on that date, or thereabouts. And it worked out well. It was the same day as the honor flight, so the American Legion Post 912 attended following their return from Plattsburgh and their breakfast. So we kind of worked the time around them. So it was nice to have the color guard there from Post 912. So I thank them as well. And also what was it called? Champlain, what is Roy and all that group? I can't think of it. It doesn't matter. I want to thank Roy Clark and Brian McGoldrick and his son for attending in period uniforms for that ceremony. The Harry McManus Rec Trail improvements. I'm sure you've all noticed the improvements that's been taking place from the delineators on Prospect Street to the signage on the trail, the signage on the highways for the shared bike and pedestrians, shared roadway. Those things all got installed by the highway department, by Alan and his team, so we want to thank them, a big thank you for all that work. And they're not done. He came in my office today and announced he has scheduled the paving, so the rest of it should get paved sometime next week. We don't have an exact date, but we have hired Carter Paving to go in there and finish it up. So that'll That'll be nice.
The roads are looking really nice.
Oh, the roads, the paving that they did,
Big improvement.
I should have mentioned that last month, but yes, we thank him for that as well. The roads look great. And
Just
I want to
focus
remind
on-
everybody, when they are paving at the rec trail, I believe that they will be working off the entrances at 276. So please drive carefully when you see the workers out there and you see trucks trying to back in. It's gonna be a little congested. So just remind everybody, please give them space. And thank you. Report from the council members. Let's start with Ann. Councilmember Rochester.
I don't really have much to report, other than my helpful husband has been trying to get his feelers out, where he's been involved with some things that have brought him in contact with people that could be helpful to us and in this area if things went in that direction, but it's too soon to really say too
It's
much.
not too soon. I thank him for what he's been doing. I had a nice conversation with him the other night. I am actually got on my calendar, scheduled an event in Malone to try to continue working what he started.
Great.
But yeah, this is what's gonna get us
Connection.
development and possible investors that can make it happen, is by doing exactly what Danny's doing, what I've been trying to do when you're out and about, talking to these people. And so yeah, in October, I'll be trying to push forward what he's already started.
Good,
He's planted the seed, we'll see if I can till it a little bit.
yeah,
So yeah, thank him for that.
yes, I will.
Anything else?
No, I was thinking today, though, I had all the Caseys around me. Oh, I wish I had Art here too. I would say, we really need people like you that have vision and drive and ambition and have made changes, and
Mhm.
we need to go further with these changes and
We will, yeah.
invest in our area.
I'm confident that we will.
Mhm. But a nice family.
Is that all?
Yep.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Bory.
I'll start with the zoning board of appeals. I'm just going with the minutes here. I was not able to attend the meeting. And Julie, correct me if I'm wrong, but they had the regularly scheduled meeting in August. And they also had a public hearing, and it looked like everything, public hearing, was addressed. The variance was granted by the applicant. There was also, correct me if I'm wrong, Julie, approval of the appeal that was established by another applicant, and the formal application went for review to the county, is that correct?
Yes.
By that applicant, yeah. So it looks like things are moving on with that. The zoning board of appeals is scheduled to meet Thursday, September 15th at 5:30 right here at the town office. And there's a public hearing that night, correct, Julie? And that's the
Yes.
only order of business, so there is a public hearing that night at 5:30. Of course, the meeting is open to everybody. Next one, I'll skip marketing for a second. Hometown Heroes, Sarah is currently taking applications for the next round of banners that we'll be creating. So the application process is ongoing right now, so anybody that is in the township that would like to have a Hometown Heroes banner displayed in the town, please either call the town office here and speak with Sarah. You can also go to our website, townofchamplain.com, and the information is also there. But feel free to go down either road in terms of getting that banner. The banners are fantastic. They're gonna be up until roughly Veterans Day. That's one of our goals here coming up in the weeks, is to schedule those being taken down and then put away for the winter months. But in that time, we'll be reviewing all of the new applications and getting ready for all the new banners that'll be created. So when we go to put them up again in the spring, we'll not only be putting up the ones that were displayed this year, but also all of the new ones that were approved and created. So we hope that we can at least double, maybe even triple the number of banners that we have up. And thanks to Sarah for that. We did have our final food truck event. That was on Wednesday, August 24th. We had Tammy's Lunchbox back again due to a scheduling conflict with another vendor that was going to be here, but Tammy's Lunchbox did a great job. A lot of people were here, a huge success. We had a lot of positive feedback over the summer with our food truck events here. I know that the council members made regular appearances and many community members. So that was our last one. We will be doing this again next spring. So come May of 2023, Sarah's already working on the vendors and thinking about, we're even toying with a few other options, possibly maybe some live music, maybe some other little tidbits for this coming season. So keep posted by looking at our Facebook page. So find out what's going on through our Facebook page. It's a great place to find out of events that are going on in the town. We also help support some of the other local municipalities and things that they have going on there. So check out our Facebook page for those events, and you can be well informed. And again, many thanks to Sarah for the work that she does with the Facebook page and with the food truck and all the events we've been having. Very much appreciated.
Can she get Ben and Jerry's there?
Well, we can, anything's possible, right?
You can have it, the craft fairs? Oh, those are good.
I was told to put a plug in for the Rouse's Point Stars and Stripes on the Lake committee. They're currently in their discussions about planning for next year. And of course, they're looking for volunteers, people to serve on the committee. And actually, it's subdivided within the whole 4th of July celebration. But they're looking for community members. So if there's anybody out there that is looking to help with the 4th of July celebration in Rouse's Point, please contact Karen Weierstahl, or you could call the American Legion in Rouse's Point, and they'll guide you in the right direction as to when we meet. But anybody wants to know, we often are meeting at the American Legion in Rouse's Point on the first Tuesday of the month. So if you're interested in showing up and being a part of that, even to listen or provide feedback, first Tuesday of every month. And we're looking at our fundraising right now and other things. Let me go to marketing. I think that's probably the big to-do that's been going on. Yes. So we did have a meeting with Boyer Benner Group. We did do a virtual meeting. The committee met with them via Zoom to discuss the quote or the proposal that they put together for us so we could get more detail and information. And we did get a better, clearer vision of what their anticipated work would be, their scope of work for what they proposed. And if I can speak on behalf of the committee, it sounded very positive. I think it's exactly what we want.
Yeah, they made it very clear to us. And if you look, that item is on old business because we discussed it at the meeting in August, Rick. And we tabled it because we looked at the quote and didn't really understand what it was about. We have a better understanding of it now.
Correct.
So when we get to that item, I guess we can discuss it in more detail. But yeah.
But it was a very good meeting, and it's what we want. Let's just put it that way. So we took care of that, and thanks to Randy LeBombard, who was here for that, and of course Annie, Tom. The other big component, we did complete the filming for the summer portion of the public service announcement, commercial, video that we've been working on for months now. Paul's been absolutely fantastic in working with, I can't thank him enough for his vision and his time and the way he can get a shot and, in no time flat. I wish I had that kind of talent. So Paul is really a great asset for what we're trying to create here. So the commercial is complete. We had a screening, what was that, last week? It seems like.
Last Wednesday.
Last Wednesday.
Yep.
We had a screening. He finally had put all the editing and finishing touches on it. There's a few components that he needs to add, but they were not relevant to the actual viewing. And from somebody who worked on this with Paul from even the preliminary stages where we had the community come in and a focus group and we had discussions, from that moment to what we finally created and watched on film is really impressive. And it's gonna be a real, I think everyone's gonna be excited when they see it, let's just put it that way. So it's gonna be super exciting. Many thanks to our talent, Tiana Saroj, who was our host through it. And I foresee her being a part of the follow-up projects to this. We're gonna have a winter session.
That's only if Hollywood doesn't have it.
It's true. We have a Hollywood star among us, and it's great. So between the winter session, and Paul even threw out a couple of other ideas that we can consider about featuring local businesses in a similar fashion. There's a lot of great potential here. Also, I'm currently working with Paul on developing the business commercial. So the industrial park, possible development, kind of the other audience that would be looking at our area, very much like the solar farm gentleman today, looking at our area not necessarily because they want to build a home here or raise their family here, but because they want to actually do business here. So it's a whole nother aspect, and that's going to be a little more on the more imagery of the town and the available properties, statistics and voiceover, and I'm working with him on that so we can get that finalized. So we would have our two big areas covered that we can start pushing as soon as we're ready to push them, which is nice.
Are you also getting ready to film some of the fall and winter scenes, prepare for the next segment as well?
That is correct. So we're also working on what that will entail.
Because autumn can be quick.
Correct, yes.
But it's beautiful while it's here.
I know, so you gotta kind of capture, I'm sure you're already thinking of that, I shouldn't be even saying that.
No, it's it's always great to bring those things up, and yes, so there's plenty going on. Hopefully by, I would say spring, everything's gonna be, as they say in the business, in the can. So,
Yeah, so for those of you watching this, or like, when are we gonna get to see this? The Board Better Group was very convincing that we have to hold this back until it's ready to go live with the website. That leaking it out prematurely would not,
Defeat the purpose.
it would defeat the purpose.
we're gonna push it all out as our big, almost, how would you, it's the, almost like a Cinderella story where you have the unassuming, it's kind of maybe blah, drab, underdeveloped, or just not shiny and bright, but once we get that beautiful makeover, it's gonna all become clear what a gem we have here. And all of this is gonna be sold through the logo, through the new website, through our new social media, through this video. So there's a lot of exciting things to happen as we wrap up 2022, going into 2023.
It's a pretty good milestone. Yeah, so, it's great. So thank you for all your hard work. When you do get to view this, you'll understand how much work went into this. It's amazing. So thank you, Jason. I know you worked hard at it.
It's a passion, to be able to let everybody see what we see.
Yep, and I want to thank all all the people that participated in it,
Yes, a lot.
including the folks in the background,
Yes.
and Tiana, I hope she's still around, and the rest of them. She might get scooped up. Anything else?
No, so ends the report.
Okay, thank you very much.
Don't have a lot to report,
Councilperson
just have a few things.
Hunter.
First of all, the Village of Champlain Fire Department, they're at a point right now where they've had their application with the rural development in place, and it's under review. And once they get a reply from the rural development, we'll have a better understanding of the funds that will be available, and we'll be able to move forward with the potential public vote for their new building project. So that's still at a point where it's kind of in flux, but soon, hopefully, rural development will move forward with that. In terms of the Village of Rouse's Point Fire Department, they only have one announcement, and that is that they're going to be holding their fall fire department breakfast on Sunday, October 16th, and that will be from 8 till noon.
Is that pancakes?
Yeah, they do pancakes, they do omelets, they do scrambled eggs, toast, they do a little bit of everything. And it's a great way to not only support your local volunteer fire department, but it's also great to get out into the community and kind of mix with people, absolutely.
There's real maple syrup there, you know, it's
That's
hard to
right.
stay away.
Do we know if the Champlain Fire Department is gonna be doing they usually do a breakfast?
Chris didn't
too.
mention anything. I was
Okay.
hoping he would, because typically they do a fall breakfast,
Yeah.
but he didn't mention it. And it wasn't in his last report, so they provided. So I can ask him, I'll reach out
Yeah,
and
they
see.
normally do.
But that's usually October, if I'm not mistaken also. And I think they almost run back to back, like weekend to weekend. At least they have in the past. So I'll reach out to them and see. So what I would do is recommend following the Town of Champlain's website, and we'll put any announcement out there for our local constituents.
Okay.
Okay? That's all I have.
What about the EDU assessment?
EDU assessment was provided to the water board on the 9th of September, so.
Now, does that need to be approved, or did we approve that in July? Because I thought we had.
I thought we approved it in July. I thought this was a done deal where everything that I provided to the board
Okay.
before I left
Right.
was kind of a summary, because that's when our annual EDU committee met, and we went through and we kind of finalized what that looked like at that time.
So does this document require approval then?
I don't know if that requires approval, but it matches the report that Julie provided in August, so
Okay, then that was approved.
that's correct.
Okay, so what they need now is, and I'll be glad to do it, actually, I'd like to do it, is just a cover letter to put in the report. They're not putting these documents in that report anymore.
Okay.
For one thing, because as you know, the one I had created was so large that we had to email it in 2 pieces. So they as a board decided not to include all the data.
Okay,
The data does need to be available to them.
Right.
So I'm glad you sent them that.
I sent them the 3 parts,
What
so they
need-
should have everything they need.
What they need is a summary. So I will do up the summary, I'll let
Okay.
you review it before I
Alright.
send it.
Okay,
But as simple as, last year we were here now, and here's a brief description of the reasons why we
Okay.
got there. Very similar to what the village assessor does, but I have no problem doing that, I'm glad to do it, so I'll write that up.
okay.
Okay, thanks.
That's it for me.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking that on, Rick.
Sure.
Yes, thank you. Report from town clerk.
We have my report for the month that needs approval.
I make a motion that we approve August 1st or August 31st Town Clerk Monthly Report.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right.
Opposed? Any further discussion? Motion carries. Okay, review of the post audit bills. Everybody had time to look at them?
Can I just get a summary on page 2 of the abstract? The international down payment in the amount of 50,000. Can you give me just a, probably more for the public than anything else, what that down payment is for?
That is for the new truck.
Okay.
And it was based on the trade-in value
Okay?
of the trade-in of the old truck. So they allowed us, as agreed, they allowed us 50,000.
Okay?
So that takes care of that first payment.
Nice.
Okay. So it's the asset itself that's serving as a down payment?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
And is Alan happy with it?
Yes, matter of fact, it just got lettered today. JP Signs did the lettering of doors. The other truck is due sometime this month, we don't have a date yet. It's still,
Coming in.
well, it's in, but it's, the body is, being installed, I believe. The body and the plow and everything, the equipment is being installed on it. So that's where that one's at.
So in case I get stuck on my road,
There you go.
I'll have somebody to dig me out.
This is true, I don't seem to have the monthly bills here, how come?
What's there, you got it?
I was right with it.
They're stapled together on me?
No, I don't think they were stapled together. They were 2 separate
Yeah.
packets.
That's it, I think, that's it, no?
Bill list by Fiona.
No, I think I'm missing it, but you got a copy?
Share bills.
Okay, so, the approval of monthly bills. Is there any additions?
That doesn't have to be,
We don't want to approve this? Okay. Just said, all right.
Just a few.
just the monthly bills. You want me to read the extras?
Yeah, the 2 extras?
Barton Wood Judas Route 11 survey for the amount of $2,270. It says COVID money. And T&L septic porta potty at Bob Venn for $90.
That's what I'm looking for.
What were you looking for?
So that's,
Just a single page?
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm looking for. It's probably in here somewhere and I just can't find it. I had it all in order.
Does that porta potty stay there for?
This is
Or do we rent it?
It's a rental, so we had one there at the park, which was used by folks using the trail, the rec trail.
Sure.
But now that we have soccer there,
Oh,
practicing once a week, games, I think it's just once a week, but regardless, there was a need for one closer to the soccer field for the parents, et cetera.
mhm.
It was suggested by someone, so we rented one and put it near a backstop.
Mhm.
So this is a second one
That's
just
a
to get
great
through the
idea.
end of the season. It was needed,
Yeah.
and it's,
Not everybody can go in the bushes.
no, the thing is, the one that was there was so far away that
Right, made it quite a hike.
it made it, yeah, I think it was more the time away from the game that was the problem, but either way, there's a second one there now.
I think that's good.
So we need a motion on approving that, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I make a motion to approve that because I think it's.
As
a
read?
Very, as read,
Okay,
very
second.
valid.
Second that.
Thank you, and roll call please.
Councilmember Rochester, Councilmember Boyd,
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter,
Aye.
Supervisor Trombley.
Aye. Motion carries. So now we have a report from the codes officer.
Does not need approval though, correct?
Correct.
Very busy man.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, I know, that's what talking
What are
about.
we talking about?
Okay, I have one question on this report. Where are we on that chlorine residual issues on the Dubois Road and Ridge Road,
Okay, so
the levels?
that was frustrating. It took a week to get through and figure out. We kept flushing to keep it up within limits. Got Mike Joliker involved. As best we can determine, it was literally a large slug of water. So Mike Joliker's supposed to try to do the calculations. And we're thinking that the flush times need to be longer at the end of Ridge Road and also at Miramar. Because what happened was, we think we ended up with a large amount of water that was there too long due to the usage, the amount of usage that's on the line. So we're continually monitoring. The levels have been okay. They've been within limits. I asked Chris, the 2 days have blurred together. I think it was yesterday, to get out and check the levels at the end of Route 11 at Rouse's Point, and also the end of Ridge Road. I don't have confirmation he did that. He told me he was going to.
Does the ritual seem to be especially problematic all the time, or?
Not typically at the booster station, okay? At the end, we've had some low readings, but this was low readings there. We had, when I say low, I mean just low limits. And low at the Miramar, we checked there, because originally, it seemed to happen after the break on the Dubois Road, where we shut that loop down and rerouted water. So it was in order to only affect a couple of homes when we repaired it. And it seemed to it tapered down right after that. And within a week, the village did their flushing. And after the flushing, it went down even further. So it was a strange anomaly. And the only thing we can think of is that we changed the direction of water, and then there wasn't enough usage, and the flushings might not have been adequate to clear the whole, that whole loop. I mean, it's from Route 11 around.
Right.
And it took a week to get through that slug. I'm calling it a slug,
That stretch,
that
you mean?
amount of water that
Right.
was in that line. So that's about the best I could answer. We really thought we had a valve closed somewhere, a valve broke, where water was getting deadheaded, but we, worked for days to prove that incorrect.
So is he gonna just test that on a more regular basis until we're sure, up till winter, or?
Yeah, well, the level at the booster station gets checked every day. So
Correct, I knew that.
That's the indicator if
Okay.
it goes down. But yes, I've asked them to try to find time to test the ends of those lines. And I also
Right.
asked, had he been doing it on a regular basis like we asked him,
Correct.
6 months ago?
Right.
So, and he hasn't had time to do it as regular as it should be done. So I don't even know what amount of numbers we have to look at, but.
But he's recording those and logging those, so we have something as far as data.
A record.
We
Okay.
have some. but we
Because
don't
we'd
have
set
enough.
something up to do that electronically to kind of make it so it was easy for both the village and the town to be able to see these ongoing numbers.
Yeah,
Nice.
I don't know what the state of that is.
Okay.
All I know is that due to time, we don't have enough data.
Right.
I think we need to look at it closer, but I think we're gonna need to flush those 2 points, end of 11, end of Ridge Road, more often.
Right.
I think the interval has to be increased
Yeah. Okay.
to move that water. And also the rebuilding of the booster station may help as well, because you have very old piping and expansion tanks there. The expansion tanks are actually, according to the engineer, they believe they're collapsed due to the amount of cycles that the pumps are running. So you've probably got a lot of residual deposits
Debris.
in those lines and in those tanks that are probably, eating the chlorine down. I don't know what the right word for it is, but decreasing the amount of chlorine due to the chemical process. So that might be contributing to it. So we're trying to move forward with that booster station. As you know,
Right.
I have a report on my desk. I don't know if you want it scanned to you, it's a thick report. One of the reasons why I haven't scanned it yet is due to the project that's proposed that we entered into with, for the landfill, and the possibility of requiring large amounts of water to produce hydrogen. I have asked the engineering firm to look at what will the needs be if we increase that usage on that line. Because if we increase it to the amount that he's estimating, the booster station needs to be bigger. It'll probably require one more pump. So I've got them working to build into their design the ability to add the pump if necessary. I don't want to add it in hopes.
Anticipation.
In anticipation, but if we're gonna do this, I want the capability to.
Makes sense.
Set it up for it, but don't actually put it in, right?
Right, so if the company, comes to us a year from now and says, we do wanna go forward with this, then I'm gonna need their help to purchase the additional equipment and add it on, as compared to rebuild a whole thing that we just built, right? So that's why I'm waiting for the part B of the report that includes that. Right now, this report is just what it takes today to
Correct.
keep the same standards we have.
Yeah, nothing we need to have.
That's what I'm thinking, I think we need to have that part B where we can have the ability to expand. I never would have guessed that we would need to provide more water on that lake. I never thought commercial development would happen down there, but it looks like it might be possible.
Right. And you got longer stretches in between a lot of the residentials also, so.
Yeah, so if you put a large user on the end of that line, you're gonna need to, so they're doing those calculations. I gave them an estimate of what kind of water we're talking about, it's equivalent to like 20 homes.
Wow.
If his estimate that he gave me was correct.
How old is that original system that we put? Was it
Early
in the
90s.
70s?
No,
Oh.
early 90s when that was put in.
Okay. And before that, it was probably the 70s?
There wasn't one before that, there wasn't even a water line before that. What happened was when the contamination of the landfill spoiled the wells in that area, they put in individual chlorinating stations, filtration stations at each home, and we actually had an employee that monitored that daily, and it got costly. And so finally, I don't know how it came about, none of us were here then, but it was Wyeth and Harris Graphics paid for that line to fix the problem and end it, and take out all that equipment out of there. And that's why there's, 5 homes that are on the line? There were 5 that were affected, Julie?
No, the landfill?
Yeah, is it 5
Oh,
or
there's
8?
more than that.
I can't remember, that's what I'm asking. Is it
Yeah, there's,
What was going in that landfill?
maybe 8? It was stuff that was disposed of from both companies that was leaching into the groundwater.
Ooh, gosh. Scary.
Anyways,
Okay, thank you.
as, I got to touch on one of his bullet items, gathered quote from Kester for new UV system, which
Yep.
we
So,
approved last month. Found out tonight, just a couple hours ago, from an email from Chris that he sent all the information into the county health department, and that equipment that we approved does not meet their criteria, does not meet their standards. So we're gonna revisit this tomorrow and figure out what we're doing. We need to go to a next level system. I'm assuming it's gonna be more money, so we're probably gonna have to figure out how to get that done, either in a special meeting or something, so. We're gonna schedule that public hearing in 2 weeks, maybe we can do it at that time, I don't know. But we need to get it installed, and now we have a problem.
so that's related to these 2 quotes or proposals that are in here?
Nope, those are for the lift station.
Okay,
No.
One's pump station and one's, I believe, yep.
I think there's like 15. And,
15 homes?
15, is that many? Okay,
I think
I'm
so.
sorry.
I
Wow.
think so.
5 plus 10,
Right.
I was off. I couldn't remember, I just remembered that I just, discovered recently in looking at this that only a portion of that road is on this line. A lot of people did not opt to get in, and the ones that got in, I think, were the ones that were affected, correct? Is that what you
Well,
told me?
it starts in the curve there.
Mhm.
But I asked Chris about that the other day, and he said it's because the line doesn't go by the people on the Ridge Road further. It doesn't go in front of them. Somehow it goes behind,
They took a shortcut,
so it goes way in the back, so that's why all these other people
okay,
couldn't connect to it,
that makes sense.
so.
Okay. Champlain Monthly Dog Report. As you can see, we are still
Still have those
Getting
2 dogs.
complaints with dogs. And when we get to old business, we need to revisit if we're working on that dog law. Then we have the zoning board minutes. I think Jason touched on those already. I believe we've all reviewed them. Then we have the letter that I wrote to the town in regards to the water being taken from the fire hydrant on Route 11 in Miramar Drive. And this letter was addressed last night at their board meeting. And I have an email from the mayor with the results of that discussion, so I'm gonna cover that right now. The Village of Champlain Board of Trustees discussed your letter regarding theft of water at last night's meeting. We agree that this has to stop and believe that 4 steps need to be put in place if the water being used is treated water. The water would be taken from the wastewater treatment plant. It will be metered. An appointment will need to be made with the village office. We do not have the personnel to accommodate drop-ins to set up filling of tanks. So this is, to the public, this is in process here. They are working on a policy to set this up, but I want to remind everybody 2 things. 1, you don't touch a fire hydrant to get water, and 2, you will need to call a village office if you want to get a tank filled, for example, for hydro seeding. The company buying the water will be invoiced for the purchase at their regular rates, and there will be a minimum charge. It has not been determined yet. And the filling would only be done under the supervision of village personnel. I completely agree with this. That is basically what my letter was suggesting. They're also concerned about the amount of fines. Currently, theirs is not to exceed $250 or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 15 days or both. They feel that fine is too low. I can tell you that our code needs work as well, because I asked Kevin to tell me what the fine should be, because ours says it will be according to penal law. Because that is so broad, Kevin can't determine what the fine should be based off that terminology. And he spent days researching it. So the mayor and I will be meeting in the near future with both of these codes to come up with a set fine for first offense, a set fine for second offense. And it will be steep, and it will go before both boards for approval, so we can get the code revised accordingly. Everybody agree that's what needs to be done?
Yes.
Okay, because currently we really don't have anything to go on. I am going to be billing the contractor that was caught taking water. I don't think we have nuts and bolts to impose a fine at this time. And he will get a letter. I've spoken with him twice. I just spoke with him a few days ago, it may have been last Friday, letting him know that, the hydrants are off limits, and explained to him what I was proposing to the village, and as it turns out, that's exactly what we're gonna do. The village will be handling the water.
So is the actual amount that we're charging him based upon what he indicated that he took? Because there's no meters on the fire hydrants.
We can determine that right now, so, oh, dear God, I'm sorry,
No, it's not.
that's my sister.
You didn't have to say that. Now everybody knows.
Everybody knows. I thought everybody knew that anyways. So yeah, so based on the amount of water, 600 gallons that day, what's our rate, Julie? 13
13
a
something.
kgal, right?
Yeah, 54.
I mean, so we're talking less than $8, right? $8 or so. I mean, so if you want to set a minimum amount, like the village is doing,
Right.
we can do that, and then we'll bill accordingly. So we'll welcome a motion to the amount that we should be charging for 600 gallons of water taken illegally.
Set amount seems more applicable in this situation.
We don't have to be ridiculous, but I would think the set amount should be like at least minimum of $25, but.
Right, yeah, there's gotta be a minimum higher than
Because it's almost like a special use kind
It
of.
is.
It is.
it is.
I guess,
And you also have to remember, you gotta take into account the personnel that in fact would be needed to be able to, like in the village's sense, to go and kind of take up that time to make sure that,
but in this case, are we valid in trying to set a number for this particular billing without a policy? So maybe we should just.
I don't think we should.
We should bill based off
I would do it
of the
present rate,
present rate.
correct.
So it's gonna be calculated out, 600 gallons divided into 1,000 to figure out what he owes, and it's gonna be about $8.
Yeah, so we put something in code that
Yeah,
kind of specifies, a minimum of,
yeah, and I don't,
$25.
we won't require it to set a minimum amount, because it's all gonna be done through the village.
correct,
If we had a hydrant out front, we could control it right here very easily,
right.
but we don't, and that's how Peru handles it.
But we still need to have something in place, I think, Tom, because you still might have people taking inside the town. And so there has to be something in place that addresses, what a minimum amount would be.
Taken like from where though?
Any of the hydrants that are located inside the town, so let's say they
They
don't
can't
follow
touch- They can't touch a hydrant. But
Right.
if they did, in
That's what I'm
addition to
saying.
the fine, you
the,
mean?
yes,
Okay, we'll have to figure that out.
Yeah.
So in addition to the fine, also a minimum charge for
Correct.
water?
correct. Yep.
Okay, all right, I can do that. That can be put in the code. Okay, so that covers that one.
Now, are we also going to look to move forward with these markers that are placed on the fire hydrants?
Yep. you
And
can-
how many total fire hydrants would we be looking at placing these markers on?
According to what was installed is 36, and I think I don't know if that includes Miramar.
Okay,
I gotta confirm that. I'd asked Chris to go out and do that, I don't think he has, but according to the records, we have 36, but I don't think
Okay.
it includes Miramar.
so it's about $435.
No, it's less than that, because once you order more than 10, the price goes down. So
Okay,
calculate it based off a little over $7 a piece. I think it's $7.54 to be exact,
okay,
is,
Yep.
so we're talking like 300,
about three, a little over three.
or, yeah,
Yep, okay.
okay?
What do these markers do?
They actually go right on the fire hydrant, and what they do is they say for fire department use only, unauthorized use is theft, violators will be prosecuted.
I like that.
It's very specific, yeah.
You wanna jump ahead to that order of business and do a motion on this?
I think we could.
Yeah, cause I
While we're
definitely wanna
here.
get them ordered. I've talked to Chris. They do come in 4 different colors, but Chris and I agree they should be the red with white lettering. Chris will just have to measure Chris or somebody will have to go out and measure the diameter of all the hydrants to make sure they're all the same. Cause I have to order according to diameter.
Okay.
But yeah, it's my safety sign. I found this on the internet quickly and it's awesome. They're very reasonable. And the reviews
So can I make a motion?
Yeah, we're gonna have to set a maximum
I
amount.
will. I'll say that we look at the purchase of fire hydrant markers as provided by the supervisor for the 36 fire hydrants, not to exceed the amount of $300.
Mm,
Because it comes up to like $271.44
okay,
at that $7.54 that you said. So, okay.
okay, that should work then. And that was at 36 or more?
That was at 36. So, if that's a number we're looking at for total hydrants.
Let's amend it to 350 in case we find there's, 6 more hydrants or something.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I'm okay with it.
Okay,
Yep.
All right, I'll second the amended motion.
thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Rochester,
Aye.
Councilmember Bory,
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter,
Aye.
Supervisor Trombley.
Aye. Okay, thank you, motion carries. Thanks for taking care of that now. We're gonna have to come back to it anyways.
If you
And,
don't want to.
I think I provided the information to the village. I think they're going to do the same thing. I don't think a decision was made last night. But I think every hydrant should have that. Okay, back to our correspondence. We have, Clinton County Planning Department, Charter Communications, and I provided you the Division of Criminal Justice Services, just for your information. And we have the United Way Adirondack. And that brings us to new business. So first item on new business is the T. Rayville Panning. I shouldn't even do that, I guess. I have 2 quotes for the painting required at the lift station on Dubois Road. And one is significantly lower. I believe, could be wrong, but I believe the difference is this one, these folks are traveling from Rochester. This one is local in Plattsburgh. I really think that's the majority of the difference. This other company charges for travel time, but because the quote seemed kind of high, we searched out another quote. I did search out 3 other painters. One declined, one I could not get to return my call, and this one jumped right on it, so what you're looking at is 2 different. You're looking at 2 to compare to. We don't need 3 because we're way underneath our limit per our procurement policy. But I think in this case, it was a good idea to have an additional. So I'd welcome a motion, or I can make it to approve the quote at $38.85 to get this work done.
What is a lift station?
Okay, a lift station is a pumping station for wastewater, for sewage. It's whenever the sewage is all gravity fed, but based on the lay of the land, at certain times you've got to pump it uphill to get to the next downhill.
Oh.
That's basically what it is. We have 2 here in the town. We have one on the West Service Road and one on the Dubois Road.
So what is the total cost? Because there is no amount here, all it does is indicate prevailing New York State wages. So what is this
Which
T.
one?
Rebel Painting LLC?
$38.85.
That one is 38.
I don't have that.
You don't have that?
I do not have that. This is the only one I have.
Yeah, you do, it's right there, lump sum, it should say, and at the bottom,
Okay.
lump sum quote.
So this one was being compared in proximity to the
66.
66, 64, 16?
Yes, from Custer. That's
And the
correct.
scope is the same?
Yeah, it's scrape, grind, and sand to remove rust and loose paint, as you can see for both of them. And it's,
One includes the painting of the floor. One does not.
it should, he was aware that it was painted for, but you're right, and
Because that's not included on Rayville's. Just,
Stop permit to finish paint with 2 coats of short wheels, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he didn't specifically say,
So can we look and see if that's included? Just,
yeah, I can make sure that he,
I don't think he's gonna be anywhere close to 6,600, but.
no, I know that I was there with him, I brought him there and told him everything that had to be painted, it was all the same items, he just didn't itemize it.
Okay.
So I will have it itemized. But I'm sure it's gonna remain the same. So we could approve that quote based on that sum remaining the same with the revision.
Yeah, I don't have any problems with that. And I don't think it's going to, like Rick said, anywhere near the 626.
Right. Yeah, it's a significant difference, so it'll leave us some money for
And this guy
for
is close
shortfalls.
by to support the area.
Yeah, and he's currently working at the school.
Oh, is he?
Yep.
So is that your motion, Ian, to approve it?
I'll make a motion to approve it, yeah. I feel like it's, I mean, I would like to see that added, that
Yeah,
addendum.
we will add that and,
Yeah.
and
But
send,
I
send
figure
it to
we're
you.
here, let's get it over with.
So there is no proposal number or invoice number in this, so can we be specific as far as just the lump sum quote, include that amount, Dan, in your quote?
I think you're also gonna have to say T-Ray
I think so, too.
LLC
I
because there's
agree.
no number.
Yeah.
Okay, well then I'll include T-Ray painting and having a lump sum of
3885,
$38.85.
and it requires that I get the,
A4 items.
yeah, get the proposal itemized to include all those same parts.
I'll second that motion.
That over there. Okay.
Councilmember Rochester,
Aye.
Councilmember Bory,
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter, Supervisor Champlain.
Aye. Motion carries. Next thing up is the proposal for pump station upgrades. The first one that we got in on this, just to give you information, I don't remember if I sent it to you, I don't think I did, was about $2,500 less. The report that we received from AES was a report of recommendations of what needed to be done. So I incorporated their recommendations and sent it back to them and asked them to requote based on the additionals.
Sure.
I should have printed the one I had highlighted in red. Like for example, on the scope of supply, the 2 vacuum pumps, which includes new solenoids. One of the recommendations from Jen was to add relays for 4 to 20 milliamps, bell jars, float check assemblies, liquid centers, et cetera, et cetera. I think under scope of service, I had to add, install new panel, with Viatran level transducer, that wasn't on there. So those items all got added, and of course it brought it up a couple thousand, so now we're at $35,704.77. So,
Can, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter, but I'm just curious how much of that is travel and lodging?
yeah,
What
you
period
really,
of time, because that just,
it's in there.
Suck it to you.
it's a lot of money.
It's in there. And that's why we're hoping to purchase the filtration system from this company, because we're trying to tie it into the same travel and have both jobs done at the same time.
One trip and one.
Yeah, so,
What does that paper look like?
It'll say, Worcester, page 1 of 3, proposal 2022-3442.
Okay, here it is.
so I need approval to get this done. As you know, contractor that we can get to work on this equipment because essentially it's theirs.
They did it
So
before.
it's proprietary.
It's kind of, yeah. There's nobody else that'll go out and rebuild the system. That's why when I first started working with the engineer, I asked if we were gonna go out to bid. She says, you really can't. She said, it's gotta be Kester that does this rebuilding. I will just evaluate and provide a report on what needs to be done. And like I said, she had additionals to what Kester did, so I think it was a valuable endeavor.
Okay. Are there other local municipalities that have used them? And
I believe the village, but I can't swear by it.
okay,
I think they do as well, but like I said, I'm not certain, no, I can't answer that right. All I know is this is the one that we've always used.
okay.
And so far as we know, they haven't lied to us.
So far.
What kind of timeline are we looking at for this?
I'm hoping to get it done before winter. I haven't got an exact timeline from them, we haven't even got an exact timeline on the equipment that we approved for this building. And now we have to go back to the drawing board and have them requote the other piece of equipment that meets the standards for the health department. Because we are considered commercial, that's the reason. The one they quoted was a residential unit.
Yeah.
I don't think it's commercial.
So what's your thoughts? Can we get a motion to move this forward?
I think our hands are tied.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with proprietary, I mean, what do you do?
Yeah.
Do you wanna face more issues with this pump station? You know, or do we just
Well, it needs,
bite the bullet here, as they say?
It's a
yeah, and I wanna remind everybody that we do need to get it done as soon as possible
Right.
because we do have an issue with the electronics
Right.
that we've been muddling through. So that's where this
And winter is coming.
duplex control panel with any 250 and Viatran level transducer, that's the culprit that's giving us a lot of trouble.
Okay.
The vacuum pumps are as well. We have one that's not working well. That's one that's pretty well down, so that's causing a problem too.
All right, then I'll make the motion that we approve Coaster's proposal 2022-3442 up to the maximum amount of $35,704.77.
I'll second.
Councilmember Rochester,
Bakery, aye.
and Councilmember Gordy,
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter,
All right.
Supervisor Trumbull.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you.
Just remind us, this is being paid for out of the COVID money?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, it's
Thank
being-
God for.
it's being- That's on the list for the ARPA funds that
Mhm.
we were fortunate to get and have to spend, so it's gonna go to good use. To give you, we'll talk briefly about that booster station. That report estimated, at this current report, is estimated at about 100,000, so it's gonna take a big chunk of money. If I'm remembering correctly, so don't quote me on it, okay? Roger's proposal for Dubois Road. Okay, so as you know, we already had approved the generator and the installation. Okay, and I'll remind you on that proposal for the installation of the generator, it did not include the gas hookup, so there will be a small bill there for whatever tubing he has to run and labor just to connect to the gas, because we had no idea where the meter was going and he couldn't quote it. This quote is for installing new electrical panels to that panel board and getting rid of all the panels that are not up to standards and are not even being used. There's a lot of stuff on there that's not even being used. So it just made perfect sense, if he's be down there wiring in a generator, to quote through him, to get the panels installed. When I started working on this, I don't know, it may have been 2 weeks ago, last week got an email from him, and there are no electric panels to be found. I have one more supplier to go to. Actually, it was a phone call, and I think he had gone through 5, and everybody's out of stock. I believe it was Plattsburgh Electric had one left, somewhat larger than we needed. We only needed a 36 breaker unit. They had a 42. Of course, both of them being 3-phase. And called Plattsburgh Electric, and if we didn't buy it right away, we were going to lose it. And we would not get a panel in for close to 6 months.
Wow.
So this is your supply chain issue again biting us.
Yes.
So to let the board know, Sarah and I decided that it required an emergency decision, so we purchased the panel. We now have it here. It was $1,100. So this work is everything but the panel. That main panel, I should say, okay? So that's at, let's see, I wanna look at these correctly. That is the-
$6,082. That's with the $1,100
Well, yeah, with
42
that,
breaker, yeah.
correct,
Okay.
correct.
Yeah,
But
they
that,
don't give
but
any
that,
away
that,
today.
that panel, was it in here? You will approve in next month's billing.
Right, in the abstract,
So it doesn't have to go on here,
correct.
okay?
But I'm just trying to wrap my head around the
Get it
But-
right.
total
Yeah.
cost of it, yeah.
Okay.
All this stuff is so necessary.
Okay, so that's for all the electrical work to, and include it, you know, of course, we'll have new wires running to the lift station with conduit that's not broke. Currently, the conduit has been hit by a plow and busted. Luckily, it didn't rip the wires, but that's been like that since last winter. Alan will be digging. We got the dig safe completed. We got the, I met with NICEAG. We've paid the bill. The plan is in to put the gas line. Alan is gonna dig instead of NICEAG to save us about $600.
Oh,
So he's possibly gonna do that, on Thursday, I think he said. So that'll be dug, and then we will schedule NICEAG to come install, tap the line, install the gas line in the meter, and then this work can all be done.
that has to be accomplished first.
So. I'll make a motion that we approve estimate 2662 at $4,982 to get all the electrical work done at the same time the generator's being installed.
Because it will save us in the long run. to have
Well,
it done at the
that,
same
and
time.
we really wanna get this done.
They're almost in October.
I know.
I'll second.
Councilmember Rochester,
Aye.
Councilmember Ward,
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter,
Right.
Supervisor Trombley.
Aye. The next item is the panel board itself. You know, when we first started looking at this, I don't know, spring or early summer, whenever we started this whole project, I guess it was spring. We were thinking of having that replaced. And the more I looked at it, the more I thought, you know, it needs staining. But it's got, you know, 14-inch telephone poles that are holding this thing up. That'll last longer than any of us here. I'm telling you, it's gonna be there for a long time. So I confirmed that with Roger here, rather than rebuild the whole thing. But as part of the project, as part of the plan, when Chris and I met with the engineers and everything, we felt there was a need to put a roof over it. And if you've ever been to the one on West Service Road, that, just a little A-frame roof. So I confirmed with Roger that that's all it needs, is to put a roof on the current panel board. And this is what that quote is. I've asked for a second quote, but it hasn't been completed yet, and that is through Jim West. I wanted something to compare to. I couldn't wrap my head around whether this was a reasonable amount or not, yeah. So again, I think what we'll do is, I'd like to table this quote until that second one comes in. And we're gonna have to be scheduling a public hearing in 2 weeks at the end of this meeting. And we can address it then. I don't think it will impact anything as far as timeline. If I'm wrong, I'll address it and get back to everybody.
Okay.
That sound reasonable? I'd like to have a second one to compare to.
So that's the 2663 you're talking about.
Yes, that's the number 2663. So that one will get tabled, Julie.
Okay.
We did vote to do that, by the way, or? I don't think so, huh? Got that here somewhere, don't
He's gonna schedule a budget meeting.
I? I know, I was given the date. Do you guys have it? Because I don't have that note in front of me.
What's that?
She didn't give us a date, I don't think.
Yeah, we do.
I don't say, the 22nd.
We did it through text messaging to find out
For the budget?
availability.
I want to say it's the 22nd of September.
Yes.
Yes.
Let me see if I probably put it in my calendar.
See if we can search it.
Yeah.
I have it on the 22nd at 6:30.
Yep, that's what I've got.
Yes.
Okay. So we need to schedule that and publish it,
Yeah.
22nd September, 6:30 PM.
It's a Thursday.
It is.
Okay, and then transfers. We need to transfer from that COVID money account for Ridge Road Engineering. It's going to be from A 9901-900, $214, to SW 7-8310-406. Can we do these together?
Can we do them together? Yeah.
Okay, so that's transfer number one. Transfer number two is again from the COVID money account, Dubois Road Pump Station for engineering from A 9901-900, $888.25, to SS 2-8110-400. And then from A 9901-900 to SS 2-8110.4, $1,121.42.
I'll make a motion to approve the two transfers, 1 and 2, as read by the supervisor.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Rochester?
Aye.
Councilmember Boyd?
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter? Supervisor Trombley?
Aye. Motion carries. Now, again, as I described earlier, this public hearing for rehabilitation of 1999 Ridge Road is in anticipation of this project moving forward. So we'll set that date. Julie, we could probably wait a few days before we post it, right, advertise it, make sure that it doesn't get canceled. If it gets canceled, I will have to let all of you know, and we'll put it at next month's meeting to, just to clarify that it was canceled. I don't know what else to do. If it doesn't get scheduled, we will not be able to move this forward and meet the October 11th date. And I'm hoping that he is going to forward. He did not get back to me today. I spoke with him this morning. They were working on those details as I described. So what do you think about 2 weeks from now? Which would be the 27th. And when you schedule it, usually you do move to posting it. I've got verbiage provided by AES to use to describe what this public hearing is about.
Okay.
It actually has to include the assessment of the property.
What is the 22nd?
Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday.
Is there a better day for you guys? I mean, I'm just thinking it needs to be done in time so we can push the rest of the documents through for the 11th. This is acceptable timeframe, you know, as per AES. Well, hopefully we'll be handling it. We don't. We're really in flux right now. It's making it difficult. I thought we were moving on tracks nicely. It did well. You know, I could do the 26th, 27th, or 29th.
Well, Thursdays are always.
26 works for me.
What is the 26th, Monday?
I had 6:30, but I mean, we
26 is a Monday.
We can do a different time.
I can't do, the only day I can do is 27th
The 27th, okay.
or the 29th.
I'm better on the 29th.
The 29th is
Thursday.
Thursday. Yeah, I could definitely do Thursday, that would be easier. I just never know if I'm gonna get stuck at work.
Okay. Is that good for you, Rick?
I got soccer on both the 27th, 29th, but,
How late are you with that?
well, it doesn't begin, soccer's not starting till 6:30.
Oh,
So-
wow.
And you wouldn't have
It's
time?
later.
You wouldn't have time ahead of it, like at 5 or something?
I could go earlier, I could go earlier, but you'd have to go,
Not an issue.
that's,
Five work?
you'd have to run earlier.
Did 5 work for you?
Can we push it to 5:30? I'm just thinking, it'll give me a little bit of time for,
Does that
5:30 would work, I think.
Bite to eat, maybe?
No, I don't eat till, like, I haven't had supper yet, I'll eat when I get home.
29th at 5:30.
Now, once soccer season starts, I'm usually eating it.
Late.
Yeah.
All right,
And then we'll-
29th at 5:30, right here.
Yes,
Yeah.
right here.
And we might not even have it, he said, depends.
Depends, I mean, how much, what's the requirement to be posted? Is it 5 days or is it more for a public hearing? It's probably more.
I thought it was 10,
It's probably, yeah, I think it's 10 days.
so
So-
he's gonna have to tell us by
5:30?
Friday.
By Friday, we'll have to make a determination.
What meeting is this one called?
It's a public hearing.
Public
Oh,
hearing,
public
public hearing for rehabilitation of 1999 Ridge Road,
hearing.
commercial property.
So just put resolution 23.
Yeah, that'll be included. You're right, that'll be included.
Ridge Road.
If this
I'm
goes
putting
forward.
Ridge Road, so I know. Public hearing, okay.
Resolution 23.
So that's good.
And you anticipate, how long do you think it'll be? Within,
3 hours?
huh?
The meeting,
Yeah, on the 29th?
I would hope 30 minutes.
Okay.
We just
Oh, that's
won't be able
perfect.
to have, the only additional that we may have on there is approving the roof for the Dubois Road
Okay.
board.
That
Okay.
And Rick, if we have, as long as we have a quorum here, if you had to leave, that's not gonna be an issue.
Yeah, I'll be here for part of it. So, okay, so let's go, 1 week before.
I put 5:30 AM.
Second alert. I could do that. It's not a-
God, no.
Nothing going on at 5:30 AM.
Okay, so the number 13 is appointment for legal counsel for planning and zoning. As you know, we had a letter from the chair of the zoning board. And so I spoke to Mr. Murnane. He graciously accepted. And then I spoke with Mr. Favreau today, out of courtesy, to let him know what was requested, and he was gracious about it. He said, it's fine. He goes, whatever they're comfortable with, I'm fine with it. He goes, I've got plenty to do. So I would like to make a motion to appoint Thomas Murnane as legal counsel for both planning and zoning.
I'll make a motion to approve Thomas Murnane as the attorney for both the planning and zoning boards.
Thank you.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Ann. All in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion? No opposed? Motion carries. Okay, old business. Dog law, have you gotten anywhere with that, Rick?
I have recommendations to have our dog code officer look at, but I think it also needs to go to the attorney. And these would be additions to that chapter 66 on dogs. So,
Chapter 66 of.
the town of Champlain, that
Of
section.
our code.
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
okay.
Yep.
So let me get that to
Jody?
Jody first.
Okay. And see what he thinks first before we kind of open up but there's 3 areas here that I recommend.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then, if he has no, Jody has no.
Then it should go to the attorney, I would think, just to be
Safe.
safe.
Yep, I'll get him to review it.
Okay.
It sounds good, thank you.
You bet.
And then we'll get it revised and we'll address it later. The Jeff Travers updated, employee handbook and town policies, as you know, we're not ready to move forward with that. We asked to hold until October and look at whether we're going to have monies left to get it done before the end of the year, or we're gonna budget it for next year. But it needs to stay on there. SS2 refinancing, last month I asked to keep it on here. We have decided to wait till next year, Rick, to bring it up to speed if you didn't, unless you found it in the minutes.
I did.
Yeah, it's not.
So the APR stuff.
Yeah, we do hire it now. Now, approval with Boer Banner Group for website development. This quote that was provided, was a question last month, so we,
So it's really the last page of that packet, right, that
That's
we're gonna
correct.
look at?
yeah.
So it's just the
Where it says
project scope, correct? Yep.
Total cost is $3,800. The scope is discovery of brand. So there's gonna be a virtual meeting with the town of Champlain to further discuss goals, challenges, and opportunities. Determine the target audience for brand of the area and collect any current brand assets, color, fonts, and other element that would determine name and look of the brand and the development timeline. So I didn't understand that the first time I read it. But the way this group works, and they certainly have a very impressive history, and track record is a good way to put it. It's key to develop a brand. If you're trying to achieve something, and we're trying to market ourselves, that's really what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to attract developers to build, whether it be commercial industry or houses or apartment complexes. we're trying to attract young families to move here. We need to develop a brand for that, and what we're doing, now that I have a better understanding of it, is upon the approval of this quote, we are gonna be scheduling a work session via Zoom with the Board Benner Group. I am going to make it public. We're gonna call it a work session. I'm gonna invite all three boards. So I'd like to keep numbers down. I don't need every board member here, but if it is, so be it. I don't wanna rule anybody out. So whoever on the board wants to attend to be part of this, it'll be fine. We'll be covered because it will be a public meeting. In addition to that, there will be 3 business people that we've chosen, one from each village and one from the town. There will be 3, I'm gonna say, parents of young families and 3 late teenage, is that the way to put it?
Young adults.
Young adults, to try to cover our demographics well. And Board Benner will be running the meeting, and that's where they have a, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but basically a template of questions to ask in order to notate what we all want to come up with a brand. I can't even envision what that's gonna be at this point.
Yeah, almost treating this as like a focus group and trying to extract the right information in order to help them in their creation of this new.
Know what to run with, right?
Right,
And
this
that's-
new, full package we're trying to create, or
Right.
they're gonna create, and that we'll eventually put our stamp of approval on or ask for edits.
Right, and so then the scope also includes, from that meeting, development of brand visuals, so creating the look and feel of the town, Champlain that we use consistently across all media marketing materials, and develop the town of Champlain brand to work with the villages and their individual logos to create one cohesive family of logos. So they envision the town as the umbrella, with 2 villages underneath the umbrella, and they need to kind of correspond. It doesn't mean that the 2 villages have to change what they have, but they need to try to
Incorporate.
make them all cohesive, I guess, right? 2 or more options will be presented for brand, bless you,
Thank you.
and logo development project presented via virtual meeting. And if necessary, an additional round of 2 more ideas will be presented in a virtual meeting based on feedback from the first round of ideas. So it looks like this will cover 3 virtual meetings. Once all the artwork is approved, a collection of industry standard file formats will be provided at completion. A style guide with font, colors, and brand assets will be created. Templates for stationery design, including letterhead, business cards, and envelopes, will be developed for staff use. So in other words, we don't have to go out and replace all of our letterheads and stationery, but as we need to, we will now have a new logo to go with it. Okay, available to start.
You might not be able to get the paper. I mean, there is a paper shortage.
I know, so Danny was telling me
Yeah.
today.
Envelopes, everything's really hard to get your hands on the.
So that's what this $3,800 encompasses. That gives them basically the foundation to then put the website together. Am I correct?
Yeah. the services.
Is that how we understood it?
Yeah.
So the actual maintenance and the overseeing of the website, is it gonna be done by internal, or is it gonna continue to be done by the Benner Group once it's developed?
Sarah asked that question to me recently, and I told her I don't know the answer to it, so we need to pose that question.
Yeah, that's a
To them.
question that, because the cost is gonna be above that,
Mhm.
and that ongoing,
You're right.
so.
And, things like but that's really, it's actually, the next stage. But when they build this website, they need to provide access for Sarah to post and, add things. We need to put a draft law on, we need to have those accesses without going through the group, and I
Correct.
believe that's possible. I just don't know the answer, I never asked. Have you ever addressed that with them? Probably not.
No, but surely we can discuss it. Yeah, that's in the second phase of things.
Well, it is hard to envision, having really just been such a boundary or barrier between the two villages in a lot of ways to see us being a cohesive unit. But it's possible, it's just gonna take time and work in that direction.
So, what do you think? In order to move forward, we need to
Commit to
approve
it.
this expenditure. I know this amount has been budgeted for this year, there was also, I believe, the same amount last year.
Correct.
We will have another expense, paying for the video portion. I don't have that invoice yet, so I can't tell you what it is. But it's gonna be at least this amount or more. Fair?
Yeah. I did wanna
Now,
see-
now there was originally, I thought there was discussions on, this would be a shared cost between the villages and the town, correct? Okay. So where are we with that in terms of the planning?
In terms of that recording, they're both very willing to chip in whatever they can, so I'm only gonna throw this number out as an example.
Okay.
We may be covering like 50% of the cost, and they'll take care of 25 and 25. Two villages take care of the other half. I don't envision more than that. That's just based on my meetings with them and my conversations, but yes, they still wanna do that. I've been asked, I gotta get with our Senate, so I didn't have time the last 2 days, I gotta give them a call.
And the
He's on vacation
videography-
this week anyways.
And the videography that will be occurring is gonna be something that's ongoing. So even though you develop, 3 seasons, it still continues the year after that, where that's constantly changing, so that you
No,
got fresh and updated.
you don't have to change it annually.
Or is it,
It's,
what is the plan?
I don't, well, I don't know if I or we have thought that far ahead. I think we're hoping that this is generic enough, it is,
Jason, can I interject?
yeah,
We kind of asked that question when we had this Zoom meeting with Aaron and Chris, and I remember them saying, no, it's kind of a lifespan of at least 10 years typically, in most cases. So it will need to be updated, but it's not annual. But
and,
that's the timeframe I remember hearing.
right, and I was thinking specifically the film that we created. What we just created, I think once you see it, you'll see that it's very neutral in time.
Timeless
So-
kind of.
If, for 5 years from now, it'll still look fresh and,
Okay.
it's the possibility of moving down the path of highlighting businesses and doing extra stuff that would be a partnership with the business, of course, with the thought that they would, pay for it,
Mhm.
but then we would help support it on our systems.
Okay.
And that would be a little more timely, so if a business was to say no longer be around, then that video wouldn't happen to be, or if there was major improvements to a business or something, so, but that's kind of down the road a little bit.
Yeah.
On the public side versus the private side, so the public side, being a municipality, are we allowed to take or solicit, donations from local businesses to help kind of fund this?
Look into that. It's a possibility, but it doesn't target any specific business.
No, but I'm
It's
just
not
looking at,
tied to it.
just trying to pay for those continuing ongoing costs. So it's
The
not something
maintenance
that's.
thing of the website and stuff?
Yeah, I see where you're going with this.
I see where you're going with it, but it might take making it live first to be able to let
Generate it.
Right.
folks see what we're doing.
Maybe the hook, but I
And-
think you're,
and then
you
we-
could be on
Like
something.
that.
And then we could
I hear
look
what-
for,
I hear what you're saying.
we could look for sponsorship.
Yes,
That's what you're looking for.
and you're right.
I'm looking, yeah, it's like if you look at a sporting venue today,
Right.
you know, look at the amount of advertising that is inside that venue, right?
No, you're
See,
right.
And so in this case, what we're doing is we're saying to local businesses, you know, we're asking for your help to kind of continue to market so that we can,
We'd like to
Build on a
showcase
residential,
you
commercial.
and promote you and,
I completely agree.
so,
I
just a
totally,
thought.
I totally understand what you're saying. And I think it's something to look into, for sure.
Definitely, but I think we actually gotta have this to
oh yeah, the
to
first.
showcase
yes.
before we can go there. It'd be like, this would be like the bait in the water. I mean,
Right,
I think they'd be willing to get in when they see what we're
I was trying
creating.
to figure that out, Jeff, that was good enough to do.
We're chilling for the sharks.
Yeah. We're building the cart, now we're just
But
waiting
I,
to.
but I
get the right
agree with,
horse, right?
maybe it'll solicit sponsorship to help. I agree.
There's a lot of businesses in this area. It's surprising how much it's kind of like that.
But I think now what we gotta do is address this stage, so,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll make a motion to accept this, project scope for this stage at a total cost of $3,800. To move to the next step, to see what we're putting together here. It's the only way to get there.
You're right. Baby steps.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Councilmember Rochester,
Aye.
Councilmember Warren,
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter,
all right.
Supervisor Trombley.
Aye. Thank you, motion carries. And the last thing was, I was hoping Brian would be here, because I'd asked him to work on this, but we desperately need this noise ordinance. I don't know if you could help him, Rick, with that, or,
Yeah, I mean, I think the town of Shazy has done an awful lot of background work and research in this process. And I think it's something that we definitely need to move forward with, because we don't have a lot in our code that addresses some of these things.
we don't have any noise ordinance at all, and I can tell you that I have fielded way too many phone calls. And it's not just from one individual, it was two actually, there was another instance of noise being created at, midnight. And we've got nothing, we can't enforce it.
Right.
There is absolutely, even if they called the state police, they wouldn't be able to enforce it, because we do not have a noise ordinance.
We have to have that in place
Right.
first. and
Yeah, you gotta have something.
The police have to have teeth, if they don't have teeth, they can go there and go, hey guys, please try to put it down, but if we had something in writing, an ordinance in place, they could enforce.
Right.
Yeah,
No, I agree.
some people will definitely, take it to the limit and.
Yeah, well, especially when they know that they don't have one.
They
Right.
can get away with it and just maybe pay a
Seriously,
little
that's what's going
money.
on. They know we don't have one. So have you already got something?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good pieces, and let's not reinvent the wheel.
Okay, so how do we want to get this accomplished then? Have you got highlighted what you'd like to?
I do kind of have a lot of little pieces that I've kind of, noted,
Okay.
so.
Is it mostly to do with timing of people's noises, or?
It's a combination, they break it down into, one, identifying the noise ordinance in general, and they get into the purpose, and they get into unreasonable excessive noise, and what that means, there's a lot of different categories. And then there's a section on certain acts declared to be violations, and how those violations are identified. That's the biggest part. And then a fifth section is on exemptions. People that in fact, where there is noise, like the church bells, at a certain time of the day, or whatever the case might be. And then the section 6 is the penalties for offenses. And I think we kind of take what they've done, and all we do is we adapt it to our own brand, if we can use that term again.
So basically, we need to write our own,
We do.
and
Yep, I agree. I agree.
Will that be in the whole town of Champlain,
Except the villages.
except the villages?
The villages have their own.
Okay.
And did you look at theirs as well?
No, I did not, because I thought this was,
Pretty impressive.
yeah, it's pretty comprehensive. I think it meets everything that's needed.
Okay, so what would you like me to do? How do you want me to, how do you suggest we go forward with this, Rick?
I would say it's just a case of, sitting down with maybe, another board member and working through, coming up with a policy.
Okay, would you have time to do that with Brian? Because I know Brian was, so I think.
We were
working on it.
gonna try to do it before I left in July, and it just never circulated, so.
Okay, with soccer now, would you be able to do that?
It'll be tougher, but, I mean, if Brian can kind of maybe work a little bit around the weekend, yes,
Okay,
so.
okay, well, if you could, and then I'll help in any way I can. I hate to take that on because I've got enough with all this restoring earth, et cetera.
Yeah, I don't think this is a long process. I think a few, 3 hours and you know, so.
Okay, that'd be awesome. And we can go through the process of making that into the document afterwards, once we get it all proofed and tweaked.
So,
Okay? Is there any other business to come in front of the board?
I had a question about, well, you know the gentleman that came to talk to us about the solar. Well, it seemed like we were, at one point trying to discourage having solar
No,
only along the corridor,
Correct.
right? Okay. So,
trying to define where it was allowed
be more specific.
and be specific about the requirements that go with it. How's that? Is that a good way to
Well,
do it?
that makes sense. And where they were talking about, I guess it is kind of off the beaten path,
It is, and they will,
And solar
they,
doesn't
they,
make any noise, right?
they,
Do
no,
those things make noise?
no, not like wind. They will also have requirements, like I pointed out, if that's prime agricultural, they can only use 50% of that acre, so they could have an issue there. I mean, we can easily go on the county map to determine that, to see what is targeted as prime. But that's what this law is for. It gives them what they need, gives them a direction of what they need to move
Right.
forward. There will be setbacks, there's requirements, there's things they need to do for the community. It's all in there,
Right.
And that's the beauty of having it in writing finally. And they're not the only ones. There's also another company. I'm surprised we haven't received anything from them yet. They're supposed to be, I think I told them to wait until late September because I don't know, we weren't passing this, adopting this law until this meeting.
Right.
They will be putting applications in. That's for a solar farm on Mason Road.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, like, about halfway between Route 11 and Cooper Road. So, another area, that one, I had to point out, does have 10 acres of prime, and, so they're gonna have to just utilize 5 acres of that parcel.
About
So when this-
next to those party builders, across from Tracy's.
So with this group that came tonight, and speaking, is there nothing that, from a county perspective, we can't even just look at a map and determine if that's prime land?
Yeah,
or
we
not?
can, that's what I was saying, we could go on the county GIS, I believe, and I'm sure it's.
And do they have alternatives to the Clark Road, I guess is my question, if it in fact isn't prime?
Yeah, probably, that would be up to the Drews. Or
They have a lot of
or-
land, so
or
I
they-
mean, it's
or
not
they-
like they can't come, but the question is a lot of the land they purchase, is it in fact prime?
No, prime is, it's rare, it's like, it's perfectly drained, and it's
You don't
Good.
have to put any drainage.
Highly-
Or stuff
good growing soil, I'm searching for words here,
in. Fertile.
very fertile, okay? And then prime, if drained, is very fertile soil, but it's too wet. That location where they are, I'd be surprised if it is prime. But It's easy to tell, we can go on a GIS map and look.
Okay.
But, you know, that's, I'm sure they'll overcome it, even if there was a certain amount of acreage there, they would just,
Add some more?
I mean, they own 12,000 acres. If he wants to get this done, he'll find plenty of space. Anything else? Then I will call a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting for the evening.
And I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Oh, we did beat our record there.
Keeping track, huh?
Is it 9 what?